Dallas-Fort Worth. Let's go, Cowboys.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Remember the day that Zeke Elliott was the center? Snap of the ball to Prescott. Slant over the middle to Turpin. He's tackled immediately, and this game is over. And the San Francisco 49ers have earned their way back into the NFC Championship game next Sunday in Philadelphia by beating the Cowboys today 19-12.
From our fan studios secured by DFWsecurity.com, it's time for the Get Right on 105.3 The Fan.
It still stings. It still stings, but it's the Get Right for Reggie KG on 105 through The Fan. Kevin Gray with the three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold.
Got you down.
My man Alec Med for holding it down for you here on your Turn It On, Leave It On station 105 through The Fan. Appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app, the truckwreck.com text line, 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. If you want to get in on the conversation, appreciate you joining us after listening to the final Cowboys hour of the season with Brad Sham, the voice of America's team, Haley Sutton, and, of course, Will McClay, the de facto GM, if you will.
The shadow GM.
Who runs things when it comes to the draft and free agency alongside Stephen Jones as he details what the plans could be for his Dallas Cowboys after they fall yesterday in the NFC divisional round to the San Francisco 49ers. They lose, of course, 19-12. I say good evening to the three-time Hall of Famer, Chris Arnold. What's going on, man?
Good evening, Kevin Gray. Good evening to all the Tolos. We always say this. Thank you for letting us ride shotgun with you while you do what you do on a Monday evening. And by the way, get ready to bundle up because the cold front's coming in late tonight, and tomorrow it's going to be raining all day, and there's chances of snow and sleet and wintry mix. So tonight might be the last time you get to do something productive in the evening. But don't worry, by Friday, the sun will come out again. It'll be 60 degrees. Just saying.
Medford, what's going on, man? Good to see you on this Monday evening for the next 3 hours.
Surviving, KG. We're all surviving together. It's a therapy session here. It is a safe space, if you will. But hey, we got Raw 30 going on, so that's fun.
There's also that.
There's a bright side to everything, right?
That is
there's a bright spot everywhere.
That's very
something
true.
To keep your mind off of the sorrow.
As we open up our conversations tonight here, we're with you for the next 3 hours until 11 o'clock tonight, coming up here in about 14 minutes or so. John Machota of The Athletics is going to be joining us to help break down the Cowboys season that was. He was in Santa Clara, California yesterday as the Cowboys lost 19-12. Our first question of the night, Chris Arnold, what upset you more or upset you most about how the Cowboys lost yesterday to San Francisco? Was there one thing that stuck out to you more than anything about how the Cowboys lost? Truckrate.com text line 877-881-1053 if you want to get in on the conversation.
The last 3 minutes were just painful to watch. But I will say earlier in the game, the thing that was frustrating to me is like I could not believe. I mean, it was one thing, Dak's 2 picks, but the second pick, which led to the Niners scoring a gimme field goal as the half, the second period expired. I thought that they just gave 3 points away. It was, now they say, it's a game of inches, a game of seconds. Brock Purdy literally was throwing the ball away, and there was 1 second left on the clock. They shouldn't have been that close. I was just like, why are y'all letting them go down the field? Don't get me wrong. The game was still wide open in play, but I was like, that was 3 points that's going to bite them in the end. It turns out there were 6 points that bit them in the end, but that was just frustrating for me. I was flipping a pencil. I was like, you got to be kidding me. But the end of the game was just very painful to watch because there was nothing you could do about it. As you saw how Dak Prescott was not playing well, and that was just the culmination of it all.
I think for me, it was the fact that the defense, for the most part, balled yesterday.
Yeah, they played well.
I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, for the most part, to a man, they were playing some inspired football. You could tell this is a team that had a point to prove about what San Francisco was offensively with Brock Purdy and the skill players that San Francisco presented. And this Cowboys defense wanted to show and prove to everyone that the physicality that Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey and those boys presented wasn't going to be too much for them. And for the most part, that was the case yesterday. If you had told me that you were going to hold a San Francisco 49er offense to 19 points after they had averaged well over 30 points per game since Brock Purdy had taken over, I would tell you that the Cowboys got a really good shot of winning that football game.
That's what was frustrating. They could have won the game. Here's the deal. It wasn't like they were supposed to beat the 49ers, that they were better than the 49ers. But guess what? The 49ers weren't better than them either. They had the opportunity, and the defense provided the will. The will! And at the same time, you mentioned they held the 49ers to 19 points. It was actually amazing how they held the 49ers offensive big-name players to no yak. Basically, Christian McCaffrey got no yards after contact. Deebo Samuel got no yards after catch. It was like they did what they were supposed to do. Outside of that one part, like I said, Kittle and his miracle catch.
The catch off the hands, off the face, off the hands, and then juggled and did it all over again. It was just nuts.
And to show you how it's a game of seconds and inches, literally, here's Trayvon Diggs about to blow him up. Had he been able to blow him up a split second earlier, he wouldn't have caught it. But, I mean, there are people who say, oh, Trayvon should have been going for the ball. He didn't know the man even had the ball yet. You follow what I'm saying? It was like he was trying to stop him from doing anything. And it was seconds. He did nothing wrong. It was about the guy. It bounced off his face mask. I mean, you could go on and on and on. It was a hell of a catch. But it was like, believe it or not, that was the most yards that George Kittle had his entire playoff career. He had never had 95 yards. That was under 100 yards receiving. He had never had that many yards. He had never been a factor in a playoff game before. Meanwhile, Deebo had been a factor. McCaffrey in his career at Carolina had been a factor. McCaffrey been a factor all during the season. They won 12 straight games, and this was the hardest game they had to win.
The other thing I would say, Medford, I'm sure
shame.
You would agree with this, the missed opportunities in this game. You had a chance after Kelvin Joseph finally did something right for the first time, it felt like this season, causing a fumble on the punt return.
Special teams.
From Ray McCloud. You don't capitalize on that with a touchdown. Trayvon Diggs drops an interception on the second drive for the 49ers there.
On their touchdown drive.
On their touchdown drive that McCaffrey had. And that was a backbreaker because on 2nd and 8, Trayvon Diggs nearly picks off the pass. Then on 3rd and 8, DeMarcus Lawrence gets the sack, but your man Donovan Wilson tackled George Kittle, which allowed the San Francisco 49ers to get an automatic 1st and goal.
Yeah.
And then they get 8 yards from Juszczyk on the next play, and then Christian McCaffrey, as you mentioned, 2 yards later, scores a touchdown to make it 16-9. And that 7-point lead felt, in a lot of ways, just the way that San Francisco's defense was playing also as well, it felt very difficult to find points throughout the course of the day.
Also knowing that Tony Pollard was gone. See, here's part of the thing. That's where I'm going to have a big problem with Kellen Moore. We know that you drew up plays for Tony Pollard. You didn't have any better backup plays than that? Because what happened was after Tony Pollard broke his ankle, basically, because he's got a fracture now. It was a high ankle sprain, but it's also a fracture.
Fractured fibula, yeah.
Listen, this dude is going to be – he'll have to have surgery. But it's just real simple. The only weapon they had from that point on was CeeDee Lamb. Michael Gallup wasn't doing anything. T.Y. Hilton made that one catch, but they weren't looking for him. Schultz was there, but he wasn't getting any yak. The other tight ends, one of Ferguson was there, but the other one was not.
Hendershot
was out of the play. He had a
hamstring strain.
The whole point I was trying to make was Kellen Moore. And here's the other thing about it. Was frustrating me. When it was 5 seconds left to play, and they had Zeke snapping the ball, you played the audio. I'm like, Kellen Moore, that's the best damn thing you could draw up? Come on, man.
We're going to line up Alex Medford at center and see what happens.
It wasn't Dak Prescott designing that play. That was Kellen Moore. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
And it's funny because, a lot of folks have gotten real charged up about, the final play And really the final drive itself, Dalton Schultz and his nonchalant.
That's what he always does
during the final drive, which did not help matters.
No 2 feet in.
But I wasn't really all that charged up by what happened on the final play because the probability of even making
it wasn't
something
happen, but still,
it's just like, but
let
just
him
to
throw
see
it around
Zeke,
a little bit. Yes,
yeah, at center,
Poor
it's just
Zeke.
like, wow,
He
really?
got just dump truck. It
Like
was like a damn shame.
Like this is what you're gonna give everybody to laugh at, the next day.
He had never had a chance.
He got clocked, man.
Oh my goodness. But again, I'm looking at the play calling. But here, speaking of the play calling, they're showing on the.
I know, man. Yeah,
showing
NFL
Tony
Network's
Pollard,
got the.
They're showing Tony Pollard's ankle how it just broke.
Yeah.
Well, but back to I was going to say, there was one play call. How the hell you punt the ball when you could have kicked the field goal or gone for a
you're talking about
down?
the 4th and 5. Yeah.
Yes, it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You got to go for the points.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I know you weren't totally trusting Brett Maher at that stage of the game, but still, how many opportunities are you going to get? I mean, I was like, what are you doing? You were being aggressive earlier. What are you doing?
Another one that people are going into is that, and again, I was just confused a lot in this game, from the play calling to some of the decision making. What was your boy Cavante Turpin doing on the kickoff return? It's almost like he ran into your man Robbie Gould on the kickoff return. If he bounces it to the outside, he's still running tonight. Like, that's kind of the way that I felt that the way the game was going. It was just a lot of just questionable
little things here.
Decision making. Before we go to break, Memphis, what had you most upset about the way the Cowboys lost yesterday?
You mentioned the missed opportunities. That was a big kicker for me, but I've been ever since his rookie year, I've been a Dak apologist, and it just felt like there were so many mental and mechanical errors.
Oh boy.
If you just go and watch the tape on some of these bad reads and some of these throws, like you have the post to Michael Gallup late in the game.
Yeah.
That was just a completely mistimed play. If you hit Gallup right on the break, that's a huge first down. He might run away.
The second interception, or the interception at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
I watched the quarterback school. I think it's JT O'Sullivan, I believe that it is. He broke down that interception, and I thought it was beautifully broken down, because if you watch the stripe on Dak Prescott's helmet, he's thinking with CeeDee Lamb on a choice route that he's going to continue to break toward the middle of the field. CeeDee Lamb goes the other way. Dak Prescott's late on the throw.
Yep.
Ward jumps it.
Yep.
Warner picks it.
Yep.
And that, to me, was arguably the turning point of the game.
Broadus broke that down.
Yeah. Because if you
that
score there, the complexion of this game entirely changes based on either getting a field goal or being able to score a touchdown on that particular drive.
Dak's performance was inexcusable. And back to his performance in your CeeDee Lamb. Second half, CeeDee Lamb caught an amazing catch on the left side, right? Remember the left side, he caught this amazing pass.
Yeah, 46 yards, yeah.
Right after that, he barely missed enough. Had he caught that pass, I mean, this is inches.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't anything he did wrong. It just was that close. Talking about inches. That's what was so painful to watch the very end, because up into those last 3 minutes, it's like inches away, inches away, inches away. And then it was a comedy show the last 3 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, the margin of error is so thin. And to Alex's point, look, I have been a Dak Prescott defender myself. And I said going into this game, or going into this postseason, that his career could be at a crossroads here. He was able to help the Cowboys dominate Tampa Bay in Tampa. But my man now has lost control of the narrative. And that is the biggest part for me going forward, for anyone that looks at him and evaluates him as a quarterback. The narrative for him is lost, because what he had a chance to do by backing up what he did in Tampa was to rewrite some of the narrative based on what we felt like some of his inconsistencies were at the quarterback position. That didn't happen yesterday. And I think for a lot of people, that game was the turning point in either how they were going to evaluate and feel about Dak going forward, or how they felt that he could have been if he was able to help win yesterday's game against San Francisco.
It's a damn shame. You got to separate the quarterback from the guy. He's a great guy. He's a great leader. We've always said he doesn't have arm talent, which means he's not elite. But because he has those moments where he's terrible, he didn't.
Or he'll have his moments where he's excellent
against
Tampa.
It's like he's an enigma. I called him the E word. It's just a shame for him because literally you said it. He could have controlled his narrative. You get him to the NFC Championship game, but right now it's kind of like, all these quarterbacks who aren't arm talent have a problem. And even Tony Romo, who has arm talent, had a problem. His problem was he was trying to carry the team so damn much. There are times where he says, because of his arm talent, he goes, I can make this pass, and it'd be a pick. And it drove fans crazy in that manner. With Dak, he's got all these different intangibles, but arm talent isn't one of them. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'll just say it because we got a guest coming up. But I'm going to tell you this is a tease. Later on in the show, I know exactly why he's thrown so many interceptions this year. This has been the unusual season for him as far as interceptions. He's never thrown these kind of interceptions before, but I know exactly why he's been doing it.
Coming up next on the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105 through the Fan. John Machota of The Athletic joins us next to break down what happened between the Cowboys and 49ers next on 105 through the Fan.
I'm such a baby 'cause the Cowboys make me cry.
All day, every day, bringing you insights and information no one has right here. K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing on 105.3 The Fan.
This segment of the Get Right is brought to you by the personal injury lawyers Frankel and Frankel. There's a reason you need a special license to drive a big truck, so companies that hire drivers and put them in a big truck should be held accountable for what happens when one hurts you. Frankly, you need Frankel and Frankel. The consultation is always free. Visit truckwreck.com.
It's the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray with the three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold.
Got you down.
My man Alec Med for holding it down for you here on your Turn It On, Leave It On station. Let us go to the Diamond Factory Hotline, where we welcome in John Machota of The Athletic, covering all things for the Dallas Cowboys. John, what's going on?
Hey, John.
What's up, boys? Just got back from old San Francisco there.
That's why I wanted to hear from you.
A long flight.
Oh, yeah? How long was your flight? A little longer than what it needed to be?
Yeah, and I don't know. I like my flights to be about 2 hours and under. And so I'd say that one's like a little over 3, but it is what it is. It was a good time vacation. I would say Saturday, walk around, do touristy things.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, probably, I don't know. It was fine.
I know what you're saying. And one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you is because you were there, and everybody's got thoughts about the game itself, which we're going to get into. But I wanted you to tell us about the atmosphere, because I know the locker room had to be stunned. I want you to kind of paint some pictures of what it was like after the game to try to talk to some of these guys.
Yeah, so I would say it was pretty obvious that the two guys that stood out most to me as being the most down were definitely Jaron Kearse and Trayvon Diggs. I mean, Dak and Zeke were too, but Diggs and Kearse were by far the last two to come off the field. At one point, I thought everybody was already in the locker room and they hadn't closed the doors. And I'm like, who are they waiting for? And everybody's standing around at that point thinking that, they're going to have access pretty soon after Mike McCarthy gets done talking to the team. And then another 5 or 6 minutes come by, and then here comes Jaron Kearse, and then here comes Trayvon Diggs. And yeah, Trayvon Diggs was, he was pretty upset. And even when he sat at his locker, everybody was pretty much gone, and he was still sitting at his locker, full pads, full uniform, just kind of sitting there in disbelief that the whole run came to an end. So, and then, I guess he didn't want to talk. He declined comment, I guess, a couple of times, but it's pretty clear. I mean, he had a chance to make some plays there, and he came up short, and I'm sure he, takes responsibility for that. But you could tell, he was wearing it as much, if not more, than anybody. I
heard Jaron actually broke into tears at one point.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I wasn't around his locker when he was talking, but he's been pretty. I mean, he's been one of their biggest vocal leaders all season, and he's playing through a lot of different injuries.
Yeah,
and he's just his career has really taken off since he got to Dallas. And Dan Quinn has helped put him in a position to go from being a guy who's just a okay, solid NFL player to a really good NFL player, a starter who was a big part of one of the best defenses in the NFL. And it bothered him because, Jaron Kearse had talked many a times throughout the season about, how he thought this team had potential, to win the whole thing. And so, he was clearly upset as well, no doubt.
Yeah, he's turned into one of the leaders, probably the heart and the soul of the defense.
John,
I would say it'd be between him, Leighton Vander Esch, Demarcus Lawrence, and Parsons. But they definitely got a few guys over there on that side of the ball.
John Machota, The Athletic, joining us right here on the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105 through the Fan. The Cowboys fall to the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round. John, you've been around a lot of locker rooms after these playoff losses. Is this the most disappointing that you have seen from these Cowboys in recent memory, or does last year's loss to San Francisco still resonate a little bit more, even with what happened yesterday?
Oh, I thought this locker room and this post game was worse. I think that, they thought they should have won last year, but I just got the sense all season long that the guys felt like they had the better team this year, and that, they wanted this opportunity to play San Francisco again. Because let's be honest, one of the biggest motivating factors is everybody always talks about how physical the 49ers are. And it's not like the Cowboys have that reputation, even though they can be physical on defense. They're, a lot of people look at the Dallas Cowboys as more of a finesse type team, and they were really looking forward to this matchup because they thought that they could be just as physical, if not more so. There was questions about could they stop the run? How would they tackle? How would they basically defend this 49ers attack? And they did a great job defensively. And just on the other side of the ball, they didn't make enough plays over there.
Speaking of making plays, what did you think of the play calling of Kellen Moore?
On the one touchdown drive, I thought he was outstanding. I was the first half touchdown drive that made it 6-3. I thought he called that was a beautiful sequence there, and then they come back, and I thought they were going to score again, and then Pollard goes down, and you could tell that just changed everything. And I mean, yeah, obviously everybody says it that they look at their offense sometimes and it looks pretty vanilla and basic and things like that, and it's pretty clear that they need more weapons on the perimeter in the passing game because there wasn't enough in that. And here's my thing: it's just like sports in general. It's everybody wants to make the easy argument like this loss is on Dak or this loss is on Kellen Moore and the offense. And it's very rarely ever one thing. It's a combination of them. Kellen Moore could be calling that designing that offense like that because that's where Dak's most comfortable. And also from game to game, you're going to call things that your quarterback's the most comfortable in. So it's like you can put plenty of blame on Kellen Moore, but you can also put plenty of blame on a franchise quarterback who's in their seventh season. This isn't Pop Warner. If Dak doesn't want to run plays or doesn't want the offense to be a certain way, he's going to, when they give a quarterback $40 million, they're going to build the offense around him, and so, there's plenty of blame to go around, plenty of people, but I don't think anybody came away from that game and said that was the best offensive game plan. But the other part of it is I don't know how great the game plan needed to be to not turn the ball over. In the end, that was the difference.
Yep.
When we look at this quarterback, John, and I know when you look around the league at, Josh Allen had 14 interceptions, during the regular season. Mahomes turned the ball over at times. There's been plenty of quarterbacks that turn the ball over. But specifically to this one with Dak Prescott, where does the narrative go in your mind for him? Has he lost that narrative? Are we making too much of it? We saw Matthew Stafford last year lead the NFL in interceptions, and his team went on to win a Super Bowl. Where are you when it comes to Dak Prescott and what he has moving forward now?
Well, it's trending in the wrong direction. It'd be one thing if he had this season in year 2 or year 3 to have these amount of turnovers after, missing a handful of games and you're in year 7. That's not great. So he has to prove that that's not him. He's said multiple times after games over the last month about how this isn't him and how this is going to change. And it went all the way through until last night as well after the game, talking about how he promises that he'll never have that interception stat line ever again. He'll never be to this level. And that's fine, and it sounds good, but you have to prove it. You have to show that it's not going to be at that level ever again. Because I think leaving that stadium yesterday or last night, my biggest thought was, you really didn't even need you didn't need the Tampa Bay Dak Prescott to show up. You just needed Dak to be okay, solid. Yeah. If he would have came with a B- game, C+, Cowboys win that game. They didn't need him to have an A game. That's the part that, and if we're saying that and other people think that, and that I'm sure you guys have seen on Twitter or hear other people talk about, I'm certainly imagine that Dak Prescott thinks that's one that got away because it was absolutely there for them, which is how great the defense was playing.
Yeah, that's how painful that game was at the end. It was like they were right there in the game. It wasn't like the Cowboys were supposed to win. They're better than the 49ers. It wasn't like the 49ers were supposed to win. They're better than the Cowboys. They were right there in that game to win it because the defense holding the 49ers down to 19 points, and you take away the field goals off of the turnovers. The defense performed. Now, that being said, last year they go 12-5, and they made some massive changes in the offseason. This year they go 12-5. They win a playoff game, but they don't go where they don't go as far as they want to go. What kind of changes do you see coming up?
I'll be surprised if Dan Quinn doesn't get a head coaching job. So I think that's one major one there. I think it's going to be tough to bring back both Tony Pollard and Dalton Schultz. So I can see them giving Tony Pollard the franchise tag. And if they can't work out a deal with Dalton Schultz, then they'll have to go in another direction there because, let's be honest, Schultz was their second most productive pass catcher when it mattered most behind CeeDee Lamb. So you already needed another perimeter playmaker. And then if you lose Schultz, you're going to need somebody else to step up in that role. I don't know that if Jake Ferguson or Peyton Hendershot are necessarily ready for that right away. So that might be something you have to address there. That the offense is the key thing there. That because on defense, I think even with a new defensive coordinator, as long as they make the right hire, that you still have Micah Parsons. To me, he is the catalyst for all of this, and you still have Diggs and DeMarcus Lawrence, and that nucleus is there. Now there's other pieces that you have to take care of. Donovan Wilson's going to be a free agent. Leighton Vander Esch, it'd be great if they could keep Jonathan Hankins. I mean, there's going to be moves that have to be made there, but that's every offseason that you're going to have those changes. I mean, no one's bringing back the exact same team they had the year before, so so they knew that. But it's going to be about how they, whether it's the draft or through free agency, what changes are they going to make there to improve the roster? Because I'll be honest with you, I didn't think that they would even have as good of a season this year as they did.
Me either.
Looking back on it. Yeah, I mean, looking at last night's game, it was there for the taking. The Cowboys had every chance to be playing in the NFC Championship game next week. But if you go back to the way the season started and what the team looked like coming out of training camp, I certainly did not think that they would win 12 games. I did not think that they would. Yeah, I did not think that they would. And if they did sneak in the playoffs, I thought they would be the Buccaneers, where they got in somehow with like 8 or 9 wins, and then they lose in the wild card round. When they let Amari Cooper go, I just didn't think that the team would be able to get back to where they were, and they had almost the exact same season, if not a little bit better. So it's difficult for me to sit here and say, be all doom and gloom, like, well, I don't know how they're even going to be as good as this year, because I didn't think that they were going to be better this year than they were the year before. So a lot of it for me, I mean, obviously Mike McCarthy is a big part of it, but a lot of it for me is Micah Parsons. He's been the difference maker. He's my number one on my list. If someone asked me, looking back on these last 2 seasons, how were they able to go 12 wins back-to-back seasons? It's because of Micah Parsons. He's been able to change everything about this defense. He's been able to make take the defense to a level that I haven't seen them have it down here since probably DeMarcus Ware. And you're going to have him. And so that's going to be a big key there, building around him. So if Dan Quinn does leave, though, you certainly, whoever that next defensive coordinator is, that absolutely has to be the right hire. You can't swing and miss on that.
All right, last one, I'm going to let you go. What does John Machota do when he goes on vacation after the season's over with?
Man, that's a good question. Because I do need to detach from this, because I'm way too invested on this football team. I need to get away. I'm probably going to go to Duke for a game. Probably meet up with some friends for the first round of the tournament and watch some college basketball games.
Why don't you go to an island, John? Why don't you go to an island or something, man? Why don't you take yourself to Hawaii or Florida or something?
I like that. I like those ideas. But I haven't been back up to Michigan in a while to see some friends and family. So there's a lot of things that when training camp starts till really now, right when the season ends, there's so many things I put off. So many things that normal human beings work into that schedule. But I'm like, no. We're going to move that to the end of the season. I can't do that now. I'm in season mode right now. So there's a lot of little things. But I have nothing super exciting planned right now.
Well, get something exciting to put on your schedule, okay?
You deserve it.
Yeah, you deserve it.
And then when you come back, we'll talk about it. We got to. You're our guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it, John.
Yeah, thanks, John. Appreciate you so much, buddy.
No problem. You guys have a good night.
All righty.
There he goes, John Machota of The
Great
Athletic.
John Machota.
Good enough to join us here on the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105 through the Fan. Coming up next, we go around the NFL. Is Ezekiel Elliott willing to take a pay cut? What new reporting says about that next on 105 through the Fan.
Coming up on the next KNC Masterpiece, do the Cowboys need an
Lawrence and Michael Irvin. Oh, not to mention our Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus and insider Bobby Belt. Our competitors listen for the latest news, and so should you. The place to be for Cowboys coverage is 105.3 The Fan.
About to go around the NFL here on the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray with a three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold.
Got you down.
My man Alec Medford holding it down for you here on your Turn It On, Leave It On station. Appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app. Also live on Twitch at twitch.tv/DallasFanCam. And also, we're live on YouTube. So go to 105.3 The Fan on YouTube, and you can jump into the comments section there. Let us know how you're feeling on this Monday night after the Cowboys season comes to an end at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers for the second year in a row. Coming up at the top of the hour here on the Get Right. Is this it for this version of the Dallas Cowboys?
Dun, dun, dun.
A lot of free agents, a lot of moving parts that could or could not be back.
Including coaches.
For the Cowboys next year. We'll have that conversation at the top of the hour right here on the Get Right. But let's go around the NFL here on your home of the Cowboys. And we start with a piece of Cowboys news. This coming from the Dallas Morning News' own Michael Gelkin.
Ace reporter.
With the headline that goes like this, as of an hour ago. Ezekiel Elliott wants to stay with the Cowboys in 2023, and he is willing to accept a pay cut in order to achieve that, a person familiar with his thinking said today.
Okay, so if you've been listening to me for the last few months, you've been hearing me drop these hints all season, and I elaborated fully on this in the Crosstalk with G-Bag Nation. It's real simple. Ezekiel Elliott loves being a Dallas Cowboy. The Dallas Cowboys love him playing for them. They love his leadership. They love his dirty yards. He's a guaranteed touchdown 9 out of 10 times when you put him on the goal line. And he's a great pass protector. Now, the big argument has always been, well, he costs too much. He's not the Zeke from 2016, 2017. He's not the Zeke from 2020. He's not. But guess what? He knows he's not going to get that same payday anywhere else in this league. Why would he try to shop his talent somewhere else? And I said this, just like Sean Lee took a pay cut and just like Tank Lawrence just took a pay cut. Zeke loves his role. And here's the other thing about it. Tony Pollard is not his competitor. They're friends. Tony Pollard's his little brother. He can do things Tony Pollard can't. Get the dirty yards. He can pass protect better than Tony Pollard. He has no problem with this point in his career letting Tony Pollard have more carries. So if it's not a competition between the two and he brings something to the table, he's just not a paid employee. If he takes a pay cut and you work out the price, I don't have a problem with that.
The running back, according to Gelkin, is willing to accept a pay cut this offseason, recognizing that a reduced salary can better fit him into the franchise's plans. A person familiar with Elliott's thinking told the Dallas Morning News on Monday afternoon. He is currently scheduled to earn a $10.9 million salary going into 2023. Of course, he does not have any guaranteed money going into this upcoming year. But obviously, what you have been discussing and what now being reported here is that Ezekiel Elliott wants to be a Dallas Cowboy and wants to be here for as long as he can and willing to take less money to do it. How the Cowboys handle their decision with Tony Pollard is going to be interesting as well. Like I said at the top of the hour, we'll get into more of that, but just very interesting news there when it comes to Ezekiel Elliott, that being reported by the Dallas Morning News. Is Michael Gelkin on Ezekiel Elliott willing to take a pay cut going into next year.
The Tony Pollard thing gets kind of interesting because he's probably going to get a franchise tag because somebody's going to overpay for Tony Pollard. And so they want to protect themselves against that, which means that what we've already known, Dalton Schultz is out of here because he is not a top-tier tight end, but somebody will pay him like that. And that's because he's the safety valve for Dak Prescott.
As we get ready for the AFC and NFC championship games this coming weekend with the Cincinnati Bengals visiting the Kansas City Chiefs Part 2 and the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the San Francisco 49ers, Ian Rappaport on the latest when it comes to the biggest injury right now in the NFL, and that is Patrick Mahomes' high ankle sprain.
High ankle sprain was the diagnosis for Patrick Mahomes. No doubt something we're going to be talking about right up until kickoff. And now Andy Reid talked to reporters earlier today. Sounded pretty optimistic about everything with Patrick Mahomes. First of all, this is obviously not the first high ankle sprain that he's had. Also had one in 2019. Did not miss any time with that high ankle sprain. And this one is not as serious. He called it a tweak post-game. All of that is good news. Andy Reid also said that Mahomes has been attacking rehab, doing it diligently, working extremely hard at it, and said he's going to play, which is essentially what Patrick Mahomes said after the game. Did not want to come out, knew he was going to be able to get back. It's not going to be perfect. He certainly might be limited as far as his mobility, but he is going to be out there.
That's a damn shame. That's just a damn shame because we know what he can do when he's mobile. he know how to extend plays. What makes him so dangerous, he can throw the ball any kind of way, but he can extend plays with his legs. And Cincinnati actually is the only team in America that owns Patrick Mahomes. Did you know that?
Yeah, they've been the last 3 times we've seen each other on the same field.
It's real simple. Joe Burrow had never lost to Patrick Mahomes, and that's who they're facing again.
I'm looking forward to that game, though. Chiefs, Bengals,
Me
part
too.
2 at Arrowhead.
I just wish in the perfect world Patrick Mahomes was looking like normal Patrick Mahomes. That's my only complaint on this. I just hate that for him.
It's unfortunate that he is dealing with a high ankle sprain, but I'm sure he will get round-the-clock treatment as he tries to get ready for the AFC Championship game on Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. Back to the Cowboys, Ian Rappaport. When it comes to Big Mike's job status here in Dallas, nothing's really changed, has it, Ian?
12-5, 12-5, and every time Jerry Jones has been asked about it, he has said that there's no issue. There's no issue at all. He is not in trouble. Mike McCarthy's job status is not in doubt, is not an issue, and nothing has changed for the playoff game. And every single time Jerry Jones has been asked about it, the answer has been exactly the same. I'm not sure there's any other coach in the NFL whose status we would be discussing after 2 12-5 seasons, winning a playoff game, which Kyle's right, definitely not the Super Bowl, but it is better than a lot of the other teams. And if it's not going to be Mike McCarthy, then who is it? And so the response would be Sean Payton. From my understanding, Sean Payton does not even consider the Cowboys job to be open because it is not open. And I don't even get the sense Mike McCarthy has been in trouble at all ever during his Cowboys tenure. Now, the final play wasn't good, but J-Mac's right. They're not scoring anyway, almost no matter what. Chances are like 0.01%. So they lost. But I don't think Mike McCarthy's job has ever been in trouble this season or last season when he won 12 games in each.
Oh, it was in trouble. Last year, he was in trouble. In fact, if Sean Payton hadn't decided to take a year off, he was fired. Now, I'm going to say this. Mike McCarthy's job's been safe all year because Dak Prescott broke his thumb, which allowed the world to see that Mike McCarthy can face adversity, keep a team together, and allow them to fight through all of the stuff. I mean, when Dak broke his thumb, everybody and their mama thought the Cowboys' season was done. It was Mike McCarthy that kept that thing together. So that's when I said Mike McCarthy ain't going nowhere. After what he did when Dak Prescott was hurt and kept that group together, that character, that chemistry, punching all the right buttons, I'm glad he's here. But last year at this time, he was gone. Jerry had to go drink some Johnny Walker Blue while Steven said, let him drink it off his mind for a while. Because he was gone. And if like I said, Sean Payton, if Sean Payton said, yeah, I'm ready, they'd have done the first-round draft pick, and he'd have been a new head coach right now. But Mike McCarthy showed me something.
Well, apparently Jerry got something to think about tomorrow because he's not going to be on Sean and RJ like he normally is. He is not going to be making his 8:30 Tuesday appearance like he normally does every single Tuesday. So something's on his mind. I don't think it's necessarily Mike McCarthy.
Well, he was in tears after the game. Jerry's older. I'm telling you something.
I mean, he's 80 years old now. Yeah.
He's going to retire one day, be emeritus. Look it up if you don't know what the word means. He's going to be emeritus, basically letting Steven run the whole damn thing. And he's going to be wishing he had a Super Bowl ring. He wants one badly. You better get that ring quick because Jimmy Johnson ain't going to the Ring of Honor without Jerry getting his own Super Bowl ring. I'm just saying. That's what the holdup is.
That's a trip around the NFL right here on the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, TruckRate.com text on 877-881-1053. Is this it for this version, this era of the Dallas Cowboys based on what you just saw yesterday? We'll talk about it next on 105.3 The Fan.
You can wait 24 hours. You can wait 24 hours. Fan Studios, secured by DFWSecurity.com. It's time for the Get Right on 105.3 The Fan.
Hour number 2 to Get Right. We're Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray with the 3-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold.
Got you down.
My man Alec Medford holding it down for you here on your Turn It On, Leave It On station 105.3 The Fan. Is this it for this version of the Dallas Cowboys? Let me know on the truckwreck.com text line. Also on Twitch at twitch.tv/DallasFanCam. Also on YouTube. 105 The Fan on YouTube as well. Programming note, this coming Thursday, right here on your home of the Cowboys and Texas Rangers, 105 through The Fan. We at The Fan are hosting our Rangers Hot Stove Show from 7 to 8 p.m. in our performance showroom with my guy, your guy, our favorite guy, Texas Rangers insider Jared Sandler. And yes, the Get Right, myself and Reginald Atatula will also be on with Jared Sandler. Completely free, and you get to hang out with Rangers pitcher Brock Burke.
Come on down.
No sign up, just make plans to come to the station this Thursday and watch The Fan live and get your picture taken and meet Brock Burke right here on The Fan. So come hang out with us, the Get Right, myself and Reg and Jared Sandler for the Rangers Hot Stove Show. Come out in the performance showroom. You might even be able to get a chance to tour the 105 through The Fan studios, secured by DFW Security. I'm sure they'll let you in. Exactly.
They're going to pat you down first.
And you come hang out with us for a little bit right here on 105.3 The Fan. But let's get into this conversation because, I was kind of thinking, okay, let me just be fully transparent. So after the loss last night, so the game got over around, 8:45-ish, somewhere around there. I had trouble sleeping, okay? I sat in my bed till about, 11:30, 11:45. Like, I couldn't go to sleep.
You mean the essential oils weren't working?
No, not last night. I was just so, Alec,
through with it.
Like, it went from the initial, anger of the loss to thinking, bruh, this really happened again in this way to this team.
Same team.
Again, 2 years in a row.
Crazy ending at the end again.
Like, the Cowboys haven't won a divisional playoff game in their last 7 tries.
Longest streak since the merger.
Like, they haven't fell into one of these things by accident in the last 7 tries.
Yeah, you can put it like this. You can say the 49ers have not won a Super Bowl since the year before the Cowboys last won the Super Bowl, but they've at least been in the Super Bowl twice this century.
Mark Sanchez has been to the AFC Championship game twice in the span that the Cowboys have done it. Joe Burrow and the Bengals have gone to back-to-back AFC title games in the Super Bowl before the Cowboys even made it to an NFC Championship game.
Yep.
That's just some of the historical context. I saw a funny tweet last night, and it's been like different versions of it, but something to the effect of Jalen Hurts was like born, grew up, learned how to play football, squat 600 pounds, played for a bazillion schools, and then went to the Eagles and still went to the NFC title game before the Dallas Cowboys did. Like, I've had to learn how to laugh through some of this because of how painful it is. But Todd Archer crystallized it even more because he put together the unrestricted free agent list for the Dallas Cowboys, and it goes a little something like this: Anthony Barr, Anthony Brown, Noah Brown, Dante Fowler, Luke Gifford, C.J. Goodwin, Jonathan Hankins, T.Y. Hilton, Brett Maher, Connor McGovern, Jake McQuaid, Matt Overton, Jason Peters, Tony Pollard, Cooper Rush, Dalton Schultz, Leighton Vander Esch, Carlos Watkins, and Donovan Wilson as well. The restricted free agents, only a couple of those. Rico Dowdle and, by the way, Terrence Steele.
Terrence Steele, rather, yeah.
Terrence Steele.
He ain't going nowhere.
So it got me to thinking, oh boy, is this it for this version of the Dallas Cowboys? Because Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott been at it for 7 years now. They moved on from Amari Cooper. Didn't feel like it was worth paying him the $20 million.
That wouldn't it?
That's another conversation for another conversation.
And by the way, they could have used another wide receiver last night.
Let's not even talk about it. And then, of course, La'el Collins, which in a lot of ways they were proven to be right on that move. But you just look around and say, man, this could – and not having even mentioned the fact that Dan Quinn most likely not going to be here
And guess what?
Getting a head coaching job?
If he leaves, look who he takes with him. That's what's scary.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Donovan Wilson went with him because he's.
I'm not even talking about. I'm talking about assistant coaches on that defensive side.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
There may be some that goes with him. If Dan Quinn does leave, I would expect a guy like Joe Witt Jr. to be elevated.
You say that.
That would be my hope and expectation is that Joe Witt would be elevated to the defensive coordinator.
You don't know where they're going if they say, "Hey, Joe Witt, I want you to be my defensive coordinator here," and we already work together.
Yeah, I mean, there's that possibility.
The name I'm thinking of though is George Edwards. I think he would become the defensive coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator for the Vikings before he came to the Cowboys, and he basically has just been kind of like an advisor, even though he could do it if he wanted to. I just hate the turnover on the defensive side of the ball with the coaches if Dan Quinn were to leave, because people forget about the assistant coaches. Because I'm telling you, that's what happens. They take 4 or 5 with them.
And it's interesting that you say that because also coming from Todd Archer earlier today, the Cowboys have a number of coaches on expiring deals, although not any of them are their 3 coordinators. So among those out of contract as of now, Joe Philbin, the offensive line coach, running backs coach Skip Peete, quarterbacks coach Doug Nussmeier.
Nussmeier might be gone.
Assistant D-line coach Leon Lett.
He's going to be around.
And senior defensive assistant George Edwards.
That's
all
what I'm
of
saying.
them out of contract right now, maybe looking to go elsewhere. But the ultimate question and overall theme of this conversation is this the final time, and is this it for this version of the Dallas Cowboys?
In the words of New Edition, their first hit, is this the end? Are you my friend? I'm going to stop it for your time. I think you're going to see some turnover, but I don't see it's going to. I really can't see it being dramatic as it was last year because the Amari Cooper thing was just out of the. It was just unbelievable. And then they actually thought that they were going to keep Randy Gregory. They just going to throw a bunch of money at it, and he said, "No, it's the clause in the contract." And they wound up restructuring Tank Lawrence's deal, even though they were going to throw that money at Randy Gregory. I think you're going to see Stephen Jones say about the salary cap, but it's all about free agency at first week. He's not going to go after big names. They call themselves a draft and development team now, and that's where Will McClay gets to play. They won't let Will McClay sign first round. I mean, when I say that, because it's Stephen and Jerry, they own the team, and Stephen like to have his fingerprints all over stuff. Will makes these calls, but Will is not going to get to play in the first week of free agency. They're going to just augment. That's their philosophy. With that being said, we already know that Ezekiel is going to take a pay cut. We already know this. I've been talking about it, and you just got the word from Michael Gelkin that he's got a source officially that he's willing to take the pay cut, and they want him on this roster. Tony Pollard, they're going to franchise tag him. In all likelihood, it's not going to be an outrageous amount of money, but it's going to be some good money because somebody would be willing to overpay him. Just like they were afraid somebody was going to overpay Dalton Schultz last year. Dalton Schultz is gone. As soon as they franchised him last year, I knew he was going to be gone for this year, which is why they drafted those 2 tight ends, a.k.a. Ferguson, the 2 guys. And for those who say, oh, they're going to miss Dalton Schultz, you thought that about Witten, and you thought about the guy in between Schultz and Witten. Remember? I forget the guy's name, got hurt. The tight end before. He was with Schultz last year.
Blake Jarwin.
Everybody thought it was going to be Blake Jarwin's job, and he got hurt all the time. Dalton Schultz surprised everybody by being able to catch the ball, not just being a blocking tight end. This is what's going to happen with Ferguson and Hendershot. You're going to find that look, they're going to be fine. You saw some moments this year where you just have to trust it. And at the same time, they really need to find another wide receiver. Michael Gallup is the guy that they threw money at, and he didn't show up this year. And I love Michael Gallup, but he didn't. I don't know if it was psychological. I don't know if it was still coming overcoming that knee injury or the knee surgery. All I can tell you is they are short a wide receiver because they shouldn't have never let Amari Cooper go. And I'm going to say this again for everybody who keeps acting like, well, if Amari were here, you wouldn't have saw the step that CeeDee Lamb took. Yes, you would have. And you can have both of them. You can. Atlanta used to do it all the time. You had Ridley and you had Julio Jones. Come on. Don't act like you can't. Look at Philadelphia right now. You got A.J. Brown and you've got Smith.
Yeah, Devontae Smith.
Come on,
yeah.
now don't act like you can't have two dominant X's. You can. That's what they were missing. So, yeah, I think it's going to be different. And I also am not going to say Dan Quinn is definitely gone. It depends on what the location is. He doesn't have to take any old job just to be the head coach. He's making head coach money right now. He could, if it was a mess like the Indianapolis Colts, I don't think he goes. I'm just saying.
It's going to be very.
It depends on how much power he would get.
Yeah, I look. I'm been on record saying I fully expect Dan Quinn to get one of these jobs and land somewhere as a head coach. I mean, he's built this defense to be very, very good the last couple of years, and I feel like this is going to be a defensive head coaching cycle when you look at some of the hot names that are out there, whether it be, DeMeco Ryans, Jonathan Gannon, Dan Quinn, some of these names that you're hearing me manted about, but more so on the personnel side, you look at, and Will McClay, who was just on the Cowboys Hour, detailing what the Cowboys, are going to be looking to do. And he says that the Cowboys, their draft strategy to look at, they're never just one player away. And the way that they drafted, you trust Will McClay in a lot of ways to be able to help put this team together. But my goodness, from a personnel standpoint, this is why I felt that the sense of urgency was so high for this version of this team to go deep into the playoffs because of how differently they could look going into next year. Because there's no guarantee. While it may look like that Tony Pollard gets franchise tagged, there's no guarantee that he comes back. Dalton Schultz, I don't necessarily expect him to come back. I think he's played his way contract-wise out of what the Cowboys are willing to pay for him. But we're just talking about the unrestricted and restricted free agents with guys like Terrence Steele being a restricted free agent. What about Tyron Smith? Has Tyron Smith possibly played his last game as a Dallas Cowboy?
He's not hurt right now.
Not just because he's hurt or was hurt, but the wear and tear and all the things that he's done with his body over the last, decade and how much money you're paying him, does he?
They're not paying him too much money. Remember, they underpaid him.
Well, my point is, that's just another personnel that you have to think about, whether it be Ezekiel Elliott.
I ain't worried about
Tyron Smith.
Let me tell you why again about Tyron Smith, because you brought that up. Only he retires if he's injured. I mean, if he retires. If he says he's going to retire, yeah. I don't see him getting cut. Cap goes up, and he doesn't make crazy money. He's underpaid. They stole him when they signed that contract. Everybody said that, man, Tyron got ripped off. Good as he is.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the other intrigue of the offensive line going into next year, too, because you had Tyler Smith emerging as the rookie over there on the left side, and you expect Terrence Steele to be back there at right tackle. Do you move?
He's not a swing tackle.
No, I'm talking about Tyler Smith. Do you move him back? You kick him inside to left guard? And then what do you do if Connor Montgomery, if you move on from him? So there's a lot of decisions that have to be made on that offensive line as well. But I don't know. I feel very, very lukewarm about what this future of this team looks like relative to what they weren't able to accomplish in the first 7 years of Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott's tenure here. Medford, where are you on this? Do you think this is it for this version of the Cowboys based on their way that they're currently constructed?
It's tough because I'm kind of with CA here. It's more so the coaching personnel that I'm concerned about. I feel like a lot of these key contributors are going to be back. I mean, on the Cowboys Hour with Brad Sham and Haley Sutton, Will McClay openly said, Tony Pollard, that's a guy that we did not expect to see have this emergence, and he's at the top of the list. Leighton Vander Esch played above expectations. I feel like the important
He's going to make some
guys,
money, too.
Yeah, and I hope that's a multi-year deal to keep him around, because then you don't have to worry about the linebackers as much as you did 2 years ago. I feel like there are going to be some important differences, but I don't think it's going to be game-wrecking. I don't think it's going to be franchise-altering.
This is what I think, and great point, Alex. This is what I think is going to happen, because they've showed their hand. I'm talking about Steven and Jerry, as they've talked about how they're looking at the body of work. They're not going to make a snap decision based off of what they did not do in the playoffs. They're going to look at a 12-5 season for the second year in a row. And they're going to look at the fact that, okay, who has played well? Well, there's a lot of parts that played very well this year as opposed to last year where you didn't trust what was going to happen. And then when they lost to the 49ers, like, see, we told you. That wasn't the case this year, which is why yesterday's loss was more painful. They're going to look at the whole season and say, okay, this is what we were doing right, and this guy is a fit here, and this guy's a fit there. There's too many fits. And this leads me to, they know they need another wide receiver. And this leads me to Dak Prescott and how I was teasing earlier, why he was throwing so many picks this year. If you look at Dak's history, you already know he does not have arm talent like Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen. He's not one of those top 5 guys with arm talent. He's a very smart guy, though. He's a leader. He's all those other things. He's got intangibles. He's a top 10 quarterback. His contract is big. He's not going anywhere. But this is what you have to understand about his interceptions. They told him, Mike McCarthy's talked about this on Sean and RJ's show. They told him he's got to take more risks. They told him at the start of the season, the risk reward has to be greater. Because guess what? When Dak Prescott was a rookie and they won those 11 straight games and he was the NFC's Offensive Rookie of the Year, how many picks did he throw? 4. That's it. Everybody knows he never leads a receiver, does he? In fact, some of his passes over his 7 years have been here, they're sometimes behind the wide receiver. He is not that accurate. But guess what? He's very, very smart. And he knew that those defenses last year, from the Denver game on, the blueprint was, okay, we're going to flood the secondary. Dak ain't going to throw it. That's why Dalton Schultz got all of his yards. That's why he got 800 yards receiving, because Dak would dump it off because he dared not throw a pick. He was turnover adverse. That was his history. And this year, Mike McCarthy said, you're going to have to take some more chances. You're going to have to be risk. Even when he would throw the picks and lose the games, or the game with Houston where it came down, he said, I have got to make better decisions. Well, he was leaning towards the risk.
Yeah.
He's going to micromanage this. He's a very smart guy. He's got 2 degrees. He's going to look at, he already said this last night. I'm going to look at all those picks that I've thrown, and I'm going to find out why. I'm going to break down it's going to drive him crazy. And guess what he's going to wind up doing? He's probably going to be more conservative again. And if he's going to be more conservative again, you better give him another damn Amari Cooper type receiver who runs perfect routes. And you better have a running back, Pollard, who's going to get those defenses in a box. Because that's the only way he's going to take the chances. Because he's not going to throw that. He already told you. Yeah. He's not going to throw that many picks again. And the only reason he was throwing those picks was because he was taking chances that the coach said, it's okay. You've got to take those chances for us to move the ball down the field. He ain't going to get burned like that no more. He's going to go back to Dak Prescott, Mr. Conservative. I'm just saying. Does it work? I don't know. But you're going to see that.
So get right with Reggie KG right here on 105.3 The Fan.
Because he doesn't have the natural arm talent.
Coming up next year on 105.3 The Fan, a little NFL overreaction or not coming out of the divisional weekend, including this one about whether or not Dak will win a Super Bowl. We do it next on 105.3 The Fan.
Listen.
Stream The Fan.
This segment of the Get Right is brought to you by the personal injury lawyers Frankel and Frankel. There's a reason you need a special license to drive a big truck, so companies that hire drivers and put them in a big truck should be held accountable for what happens when one hurts you. Frankly, you need Frankel and Frankel. The consultation is always free. Visit truckwreck.com.
A little overreaction or not from the divisional round. We'll get into that conversation on here. You're home of the Cowboys 105 through the fans. To Get Right with Reggie KG, Kevin Gray, the 3-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold.
Got you down.
Alec Meth for holding it down for you here. Appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app. The truckwreck.com text line 877-881-1053. If you want to get in on the conversation, we're also live on Twitch at twitch.tv/DallasFanCam and also on YouTube. Go to 105 through the fan on YouTube. And you can check us out there and join in the chat as well. Some of the comments coming in, you'll be able to see there on YouTube as well. Coming up here in about 16 minutes, we will go inside the gray area. Apparently, there's a new spokesperson for M&M's. I'll tell you who that is coming up in 16 minutes, just in case you're wondering who that might be. Medford looks so confused right now.
I'm lost.
He lost and confused.
Well, much like Medford, the Cowboys lost yesterday as well as to the San Francisco 49ers. I know. I couldn't help myself. You set it up, Medford. Thanks a lot.
Don't put that on me. You're just evil.
I didn't tell a lie, though, did I? Overreaction or not, judging the NFL playoff overreactions coming out of this weekend. This comes from Dan Graziano of ESPN. Let's start on the AFC side of things. Overreaction or not, gentlemen, despite the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs, for the 5th consecutive year, are playing in the AFC Championship game and continue one of my favorite statistics in all the sports. Patrick Mahomes has never, ever played a road playoff game.
It's a bad boy.
And the Bengals did him a favor as they beat the Buffalo Bills, despite the fact that it actually wouldn't have been a road game either. That would have been a neutral site game because the game would have been in Atlanta.
Can I throw in something real quick?
Oh.
The NFL, behind the scenes, have fallen in love. This is what they're talking about in all these different blogs, and they're going to try to start having the AFC and the NFC. Not. Yes, they are, and it's terrible. At neutral sites instead of a home team with the best record. They think they're going to make a whole lot of money and have all these corporate people take over the stands like they do in the Super Bowl. It's like, guess what? Guess what? We can have 3 Super Bowls. It's their way of being greedy, having 3 Super Bowls, having neutral sites for the championship games. F them suits up in the NFL offices in New York. But that's what they're plotting up.
We don't do that in the NBA. We don't do that in the NHL. We don't do that in Major League Baseball. Like, quit it, NFL. Like, quit it.
They're greedy.
Just stop.
The pigs get fatter and the hogs get slaughtered. All I can say is they had $116 billion not enough for them. They say, you know what? Did you see how many tickets we sold in that Atlanta? And this is like, oh, just imagine if we knew before the season. It's like having 3 Super Bowls. Greedy bastard.
Yeah, hustling backwards. That would be having conference-type championship games in neutral sites. I'm not feeling that at all.
Nobody is, but the suits. I'm just saying, don't be surprised when you hear about it. You heard it here first.
Overreaction or not, Patrick Mahomes' ankle, gentlemen, will keep the Chiefs out of the Super Bowl. Overreaction or not?
I don't think it's an overreaction. If for some reason Cincinnati wins this game, and by the way, Joe Burrow has never lost to Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to say that's going to be the reason. I think everything else, Kansas City's going to do what they do. But if Patrick Mahomes is limited, that is the only reason, the only way Kansas City loses this game. So that's not an overreaction on my part. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if they lose, that's going to be the issue. Watch.
I mean, hell,
because guess what? They're going to go after his ankle. Fair game. That's what they do. Why are you out here then? That's what they do.
I mean, you might agree with me. I don't think it's an overreaction either because, I mean, they beat Patrick Mahomes with a healthy ankle before.
Exactly.
In the AFC Championship game when they were up by 20-some-odd points with the Chiefs on the Bengals. I don't think that's an overreaction.
That was going to be my spin. I was going to say it's an overreaction because the Bengals are going to beat them just because they're that good right now. I think Mahomes can go out there and pass for 350 and 3 touchdowns and look fine, mobility-wise, but the Bengals are still going to win.
Let me ask you a question. I know Mahomes has been on a special heater since he entered the league. But has there really been anybody that you look at in the first 4 years, over the last 4 years, who's been on any bigger heater than Joe Burrow and what he's done since he's finished out his senior year?
Oh, that's where it started.
At LSU.
The senior year at LSU when they won the national championship, this man been winning crazy ever since.
I know he had
missed the beat.
The torn ACL.
And by the way, Kansas City, when don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from Patrick Mahomes because I love Patrick Mahomes. But when he got to Kansas City, now he sat out there 1 year, but the Kansas City Chiefs were already a good team. They weren't a terrible team. Here comes Joe Burrow to Cincinnati and brings along Jamar Chase with him. That team used to suck. They could never get out of the first round until Joe Burrow got there.
Like, he was on his way, I thought, to winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year before he wound up,
tearing his
knee up. But then he came back with a vengeance, and all he's done is gone to back-to-back AFC title games with a Super Bowl in the last 2 years.
Without an offensive line, basically. And this offensive line
that's the other wild part,
yesterday,
too.
There was backups.
And it was no problem for them.
Joe Burrow don't care. Joe Burrow don't care about nothing. He Joe Burrow.
Overreaction or not, gentlemen, the Eagles can win the Super Bowl in spite of Jalen Hurts' shoulder injury. Overreaction or not?
No, they can't. What's the quarterback's name?
Oh, are you saying that is an overreaction?
Yes, that's an overreaction.
Okay.
My bad.
Okay.
Gardner Minshew cannot win the Super Bowl. He can't. He can't.
Medford, overreaction or not, the Eagles can win the Super Bowl in spite of Jalen Hurts' shoulder injury.
Oh, you mean Jalen Hurts playing in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, in spite.
I thought you meant if he goes out.
No. They can win in spite of his shoulder injury.
They could because he showed yesterday his shoulder's fine.
Okay, so that's not an overreaction.
I think his shoulder injury is healed.
Okay.
Benny Hinn laid hands on it.
Oh, wow. Overreaction or not?
Man, it's tough because you preface it, you say in spite of the shoulder. I'm still of the belief that they're not being fully transparent.
Same.
With that injury.
Same.
And that was further reaffirmed when in the post-game interview afterwards, Jalen Hurts told Pam Oliver, I didn't get to test my shoulder tonight, so I don't know how it feels. I'm just happy that I didn't get hurt again. Paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said. In spite of the injury, I think is an overreaction because I don't know if, to Chris's point earlier, if he were to go down, I don't know what it's going to look like without him. I really don't. That RPO game's going to be non-existent because they're not going to be able to run with him. The pass game, he's been pretty good throwing downfield to A.J. Brown, which isn't hard to do when he's wide open every play. But nonetheless, I think in spite of the injury, overreaction.
Yeah, I think that's an overreaction. I'm not trusting Gardner Minshew to win me the Super Bowl. Imagine if Gardner Minshew, much like how Nick Foles had to go win the Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles, would have to do the same against either the Chiefs or the Bengals. I think that is an overreaction. I know the Eagles are talented, wildly talented on both sides of the ball, but come on, man. I don't think so. Last one here, last couple here, overreaction or not. So I want to get to the one that will have most people talking. But this one we'll do real quick. The Buffalo Bills, gentlemen, just missed their best chance to win the Super Bowl. Overreaction or not, the Bills just missed their best chance to win the Super Bowl.
That is not an overreaction. This season was a magical season. Their opportunity was there. They went through so much adversity. You go down the list. And I don't know if they'll be up to it because it's almost like it becomes a mental block. I don't know how they can get better. And knowing that Cincinnati's only going to get better, Kansas City is still Kansas City. and who knows what else is in the AFC. Jacksonville, Chargers might not charge her 1 year. No, I don't think it's overreaction at all.
Overreaction or not, Medford?
Oh, see, at first I was like, nah, they still got McDermott. They still got Josh Allen, long-term Stephon Diggs, what have you. They have 24 unrestricted free agents this offseason. 24.
Yeah.
And it's not just a bunch of bums either. Jordan Poyer, Roger Saffold, Jordan Phillips, Tremaine Edmonds, who's been really good for them.
He was their leading tackler this year.
He's an unsung hero of that team. They've got lots of money that needs to go around, and there's something called a cap. So I think they might have missed it. I don't think that's an overreaction. I think that roster was stacked, even with Von Miller going down late.
And they need a running back, too.
They really need a running back.
I know they got Devin Singletary there, but they need a running back.
Oh, guess what? He's an unrestricted free agent.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think that's an overreaction. Last one here, because, of course, we're going to save this one. Gentlemen, overreaction or not, TruckRed.com text line going to light up on this one. The Cowboys will never win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott as its quarterback. Overreaction or not?
It's a fact until he does. And the reason I say that is because that's what they said about a lot of different teams that, never went to the promised land until they did. And I'm just going to switch sports just for a second. I remember for 4 years, from 2007 on, Maverick fans thought the Mavericks would never win. Dirk was a soft Euro. He didn't have help around him until they won it. Even that year that they won it. I mean, by the way, those 4 years I'm talking about, from 2007 through 2010, do y'all realize they got knocked out in the first round every year? Some people were calling them the one-and-done boys. There was no reason to think that they were going to win that title, especially after Chris Bosh and LeBron joined D-Wade down there. Nobody saw that coming. And then it happened. And then guess what? Oh, we always were Maverick fans. We just knew one day, yes, and Dirk is great. No, you called him soft Euro. No, I've never called him soft. We got it on tape. No, that's not my voice. I'm just saying, until it happens, and again, it never happened for Romo. Everybody loves Romo. Most people love Romo.
Oh, boy.
I'm just saying, until it happens, that's what people will say.
Medford?
Why do you do this? Why are you like this?
Graziano posed the question. I just repeated it.
You don't have to read it.
Or posed a statement, I should say.
It's tough because there's so many angles to look at this.
Yep.
And
it's loaded. As the 903 said, it's a loaded question.
Yes, it really is. And you have to start thinking, is it going to be in spite of him? Is it going to be because the pieces around him aren't performing well enough? Is it going to be because of coaching mistakes? There are so many things. I say it's not an overreaction because there are so many variables at play. It feels like, for me, we kind of talked about this earlier with Kelvin Joseph making a huge play and not being able to capitalize on it. This team's success cannot coexist with each other. Like, when one area of the team is thriving, the others can't. When Dak Prescott is, he has a 90% accurate throw percentage against Tampa Bay, there's something else that isn't working. The run game isn't working. This isn't working. It can never coexist.
The kicker isn't working.
The kicker isn't working.
It's so random. So random.
Exactly. That is the Dallas Cowboys. It's always something. And that's why I say it's not an overreaction.
I know it's real popular today to not defend the court, not defend Dak Prescott. Here's why I will say it is an overreaction. If Jerry, Stephen, and Will McClay do with what Howie Roseman did with Jalen Hurts, if they did what Les Snead did for Matthew Stafford, if they did for what you can look around with Joe Burrow and what he has, if this team invests in the kinds of players that will help Dak Prescott and not subtract them, Amari Cooper, you can win a Super Bowl with this quarterback if you surround him with talent like how the Eagles did it, because that's the best example we got right now. Or you can even use San Francisco. Hell, the way that they did it around Jimmy Garoppolo before he got hurt.
You go back to Howie again. He did it with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles.
If this organization does that, you can win a Super Bowl with this quarterback.
By the way,
you can.
By the way, to show you how random it is and to co-sign on what you're saying and co-sign on what Alec is saying, look at Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. He has immense arm talent, much more than Dak Prescott. And they kept taking away from talent from him. And how many Super Bowls did they win? 1. Or if you say, Green Bay had plenty of Super Bowl talent. How many did they win? 1.
Like, show me the quarterback that ever won or got to a Super Bowl without talent around him at running back or wide receiver. I want to meet that quarterback because they don't exist. Troy Aikman had Michael Irvin, Alvin Harper, Emmitt Smith, the Great Wall of Dallas. Talent wins in this league.
Hey, they surrounded Eli Manning with talent. Mic drop. Drop the mic. Y'all know Eli Manning is not a great quarterback, but he had a great defense. He had a tight end that could catch the ball on his helmet. I could go on and on and on. He had a wide receiver that could do the cha-cha. I could go on and on and on.
It's a little overreaction or not. I knew that one would light up the text. 877-881
Flacco
1053. See, I'll say this real quick. I know we're late, but Flacco went on a special heater.
He sure did.
That was a special heater that he went on.
And he put his contract on the line with it, too.
To do that.
And got his big money.
Coming up
Brad
next.
Johnson with Tampa Bay.
But, okay, that's a bad example.
What do you mean?
That's a
no, what are you talking about? He surrounded him with talent. Keyshawn was down there.
Well, my point is.
That was Tony Dungy's team that was talented.
Yeah.
And Brad Johnson was just an average quarterback.
But I'm saying you wasn't calling home about the offense. That defense was the reason why they won that Super Bowl. I'm talking about surrounding the quarterback with the talent. Brad Johnson.
I got you.
Yeah.
You're talking about on that side of the ball.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Coming up next, we go inside the gray area. Who the new spokesperson for M&M's is. Next, I want to find through the fan.
Coming up in the next G-Bag Nation, it's a show tradition. Another season.
radio content, and much more 24/7 at 1053thefan.com.
Back here on the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105 through the Fan. Kevin Gray with the three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold.
Got you down.
My man Alec Medford holding it down for you here on your Turn It On, Leave It On station 105 through the Fan. Appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app. The truckred.com text line 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. If you want to get in on the conversation, appreciate the robust conversation here on the truckwreck.com text line.
Is that what you call it? Robust?
Yeah, that's what I choose to call it, based on what we're seeing on the truckwreck.com text line.
Very animated.
As we go inside the gray area, Alec, here on the Get Right. Look, man, this is not a popular day to defend the quarterback, and for the most part, there is no defending Dak Prescott in the way that he performed. And
unacceptable.
And look, he said
great guy, but it was unacceptable performance.
But guess what, gentlemen? Guess what's not going to change?
What's that?
The quarterback around here.
He ain't going nowhere.
Do yourself a favor. Go check out the dead cap number that Dak Prescott has coming. Oh, it's $89 million. But that contract of his. And Kevin Hagelin has made this point for really the last, year and a half, almost 2 years now. The $40 million salary of his hasn't even kicked in yet.
Nope, not till next year. It'll be 49, I believe. I think they moved some. All it is math. They keep rearranging the accounting of the money. But keep this in mind as well. As you decide to just jettison from him, and you know you can't just automatically assume that some draft pick is going to be great. Now, I would suggest you might invest down the road, not first or second round pick on a quarterback, but just in case, down the road. And I'm not saying get rid of Cooper Rush either. I'm just saying you're not going to automatically get a high caliber quarterback in the first round that's going to be great. I can name names right now of guys that everybody thought top 10 great. Oh, this guy's going to be good. I'll even throw my own guy under the bus. Baker Mayfield. I can go on a list. There are people who can't stand Kyler Murray. I could go on and on and on. Just because you had a great college career does not automatically mean you will be a great NFL quarterback. It's just not a given.
Yeah, Dak's number, his dead cap number for 2023 is $89 million. He's going to be making $44 million in 2023. He's got $31 million in base, and he's got a $13 million signing bonus coming in 2023. Guess what? He ain't going nowhere.
No.
So you're going to have to understand that and think, okay, well, how does this team get better around him? Because, again, he ain't going nowhere no time soon. So the Cowboys are going to have to figure out a better way to improve.
I'll give you one more. We're talking about quarterbacks out of college. Oh, yeah, they're going to be great. Mac Jones. I'm just saying. Oh, how about Trey Lance? You still don't even know about him. I go on and on and on.
This is funny. I love this from the 940. They didn't realize that Dak's dead cap number going into 2023 is $89 million. They're like, oh, MFG 89, bruh? Yes, his dead cap number for 2023 is a whopping $89 million. Find a way to get better around him. Jerry, Steven, have to do something about that. From the 972, y'all keep laughing. I mean, look, you gotta laugh. Look, as Kevin Hart had in his stand-up, laugh at my pain. That's what we're doing. We're just gonna laugh at the pain today, okay? We're just gonna laugh at the pain.
321 says, "Oh, cause we're gonna trade Dak for that new Eminem Sky." You teased it.
Well, unless Maya Rudolph can play quarterback, then no.
Wait a minute, it's gonna be Maya Rudolph from Saturday Night Live?
A message from Eminem's. America, let's talk. In the last year, we've made some changes to our beloved spokes candies. We weren't sure if anyone would even notice. And we definitely didn't think it would break the internet. But now we get it. Even a candy's shoes can be polarizing. Which was the last thing Eminem's wanted, since we're all about bringing people together.
So somebody noticed that Eminem was wearing some shoes? high heels, some pumps.
There was a little bit of uproar.
I have to Google this up
because it was a female M&M. But y'all got to relax over. Like, y'all got to chill. Therefore, we have decided to take an indefinite pause from the spokes candies.
You're kidding.
In their place, we are proud to introduce a spokesperson America can agree on. The beloved Maya Rudolph. We are confident Miss Rudolph will champion the power of fun to create a world where everyone feels they belong.
Okay, so it turns out it's this one green M&M that everybody's mad about. Huh?
Yeah, because y'all was out here doing too much and got in a little bit of an uproar because the green and purple M&M, the two female M&Ms, apparently had y'all in a little bit of a tizzy. Apparently,
what were they mad about? I'm looking at them right now. They're all in tennis shoes.
Well, the ladies were wearing heels.
Oh.
And apparently they got some people charged up.
What? Put them all in tennis shoes then.
Chris is like, just put them all in.
I'm just looking at the. Okay. Oh, there's the heel.
Exactly.
Okay. I see it now.
So Maya Rudolph is going to take over as the spokesperson from M&M's. All okay with that?
I guess.
Wait a minute.
Right?
I got a brown M&M with some heels.
Have some fun, 972. We're in the gray area. We're having fun here. Okay. We're talking about M&M's. And you're right. Not 254. Maya's fine, but they missed a golden opportunity to get M&M as the spokesperson.
Nowadays, everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but if it comes out when they move the list, it's just a bunch of gibberish, and everybody act like forgot about M&M.
Oh man, that's a great point. 254. They did miss a golden opportunity because I mean, who better to be the spokesperson for M&M's?
But he don't endorse nothing. He's low key like a mofo.
I mean, but if anything was made for a match in heaven for branding, it would be M&M's candy and M&M, right? Like, let's go down this road since we're going down this road. Like, who is a person whose brand would perfectly match, them, whether it be their name?
I'll give you a classic one. Back in the day, they dropped the ball on, and everybody was talking about it, and it cost them money. Everybody thought that Run DMC would be the perfect spokespersons for my Adidas, and Adidas wouldn't do the deal.
Who?
Run DMC.
Oh.
The song My Adidas.
Oh, yeah.
It was the #1 song in America. Everybody's going crazy over Adidas.
Mm-hmm.
And Adidas, being an overseas company, they just didn't get it.
Okay.
But that's class. That's back in the day. Who nowadays?
So from the 469, let me help you out here. So what the dead cap means for Dak Prescott in terms of what does the dead cap money mean? So if the Dallas Cowboys were to release Dak Prescott before June 1st, the dead cap would be $89 million. They would save negative $39 million on the cap. Now, if he was a pre-June 1st trade, the dead cap would be $58 million, and they would lose $9 million on the cap. Now, if you make him a post-June 1 cut, it would count $49 million against the cap for 2023, and then $39 million for 2024. So you get to spread out your cap hit if you were to make him a post-June 1 cut. If you make him a post-June 1 trade, $18 million would hit your dead cap, and $39 million would hit for 2024, and you save $31 million in terms of his base salary going into next year. So we're talking about the accounting and the cap numbers when it comes to that there. I'm trying to think of another one. This will be a bad one because, it happened just recently, but Will Smith and Everlast. Do we know who Everlast is?
Yeah, the rapper?
No.
The rock group? Battery?
Nope.
What?
Alec Medford, would you Google what Everlast is and what they make?
Oh yeah, I know. I don't even need to Google. I'm just thinking of what did Will Smith do recently? that he was in
Oh,
headlines
slap.
for. Yeah, Everlast, the boxing gloves company.
Oh yeah, that's right. What am I thinking? I wasn't even thinking sports. I was I was thinking products. I wasn't thinking
That's good,
sports
KJ.
gloves.
That's one of your better moments right there.
That's a good one.
Oh man. But yeah, no, good for Maya Rudolph. Hope that works out for her. But yeah, they definitely missed a golden opportunity with Eminem taking over as the spokesperson there. But hey, maybe he can do a joint venture or something with Maya Rudolph. By the way, did y'all watch Saturday Night Live the other night? Aubrey Plaza was the guest host.
I missed it.
I saw some clips on Twitter.
Yeah, it's just pretty funny actually. I haven't watched the show White Lotus yet, but I heard it's excellent. With her and Jennifer Coolidge, and
Heard a lot about that.
I've heard a lot about the White Lotus.
Everybody's talking.
Everybody's
about
talking about it. Yeah, it won big during the awards ceremony. But yeah. Oh, wait, no, Everlast. No, they don't make batteries. That's Energizer 325.
And they have a bunny.
Right, and they do have a bunny. Oh, that's inside the gray area right here on the Get Right. Reggie KG on 105 through the Fan.
Oh, right there. Bad Bunny and Energizer. How about that?
Hey, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Bad Bunny would be a great spokesperson for Energizer Bunny. We get you caught up on the latest headlines in sports and some random thoughts with myself and CA. Next to 105 through the Fan.
Text away your thoughts to the guys right now on the truckwreck.com.
and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
From our fan studios secured by DFWsecurity.com, it's time for the Get Right on 105.3 The Fan.
Okay, so there's an Everlast battery company. I guess there's an Everlast battery company.
Yes, there is. I'm
Okay,
just looking at it now.
We'll find it out here. So Get Right with Reggie KG on 105 through The Fan. Kevin Gray with the 3-time Hall of Fame. Okay, there it is. Chris Arnold.
Got you there.
Okay, so you have Everstart and Everlast batteries. Okay, all right. Appreciate that.
They go in your car. The Everlast is the car battery.
Oh, okay.
The
I was
big
always
one
a diehard battery guy. Yeah, you know.
There's a diehard right there.
Yeah, that's right. Alec Medford's like, what the hell's going on right now? Appreciate him holding it down for us on the truckwreck.com text line 877-881-1053. We were talking about last segment how Maya Rudolph is taking over as a spokesperson for M&M Candies, and we felt like M&M really missed a big opportunity by not hiring Eminem the rapper. So then we started thinking about actors and celebrities with brands that could last. And then I made a joke about how, Will Smith and Everlast could get together, the boxing glove making company. And people were like, and then I said something to the effect, I guess I don't know if there's a Everlast battery company. It's like, yes, there is. Okay. Thank you. Truckwreck.com.
Car.
Text line 877-881-1053. Coming up here in about 17, 18 minutes or so. A little AM on the FM. Can't wait for that chaos to ensue.
Me too. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I need some laughter in my life after.
Positive chaos. That's what I'm all about. It's my middle name.
I thought your middle name was Disorder. Chaos and Disorder.
Yes.
There's been a few changes.
Oh, okay.
As I've gotten older.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you live and you learn, and you just kind of lean into different kinds of chaos. Because as a high schooler, I chose the negative chaos. Now I'm here for the positive chaos.
I feel like your life's motto would just be, and here we go.
Exactly.
The Jokers, and here we go.
Maybe I need to add that to the intro. Thank you. I'm writing that one down.
Let's get you caught up on the latest headlines here in the world of sports for some random thoughts with Reggie KG. Here's why, being a Cowboys fan is, one of the most difficult things in sports. So, by the way, happy belated birthday to Pam. I saw that the other
My
day.
wife.
Yes. Chris Arnold's wife there.
Her birthday was Saturday.
So, my wife, love my wife, as I'm getting ready to take my daughter to school, she stops me in my tracks. And she says, hey, Kevin, did you hear this? I'm like, babe, what is it? I got to take your daughter to school. What's the problem? She says, did you see this over, circulating on social media? I was like, what is it? She said, and this is quoting someone's apparent, post or whatever. The Dallas Cowboys beat 55-year-old Tom Brady, who's divorced, with all these kids, and they thought that they ass was going to the Super Bowl. Really, babe? That's what you wanted to tell me before I left the house this morning? That's what you wanted to tell me before I left the house?
She said you could use it on the air.
Now, here's the thing. Now, my wife grew up in Louisiana, so she's a fair weather Saints fan. She doesn't watch half the games that the Saints ever play. But anytime that the Cowboys lose, guess who got something to say? My wife. And now, not only does my wife have something to say, so my daughter, who is getting to know the fact that her daddy watches, sports all the time. She looked at me last night after the game was over, and I said, as I was getting her ready for bed, she looked at me, she said, Daddy, what's wrong? Because clearly she could see, not too thrilled about what's happening right now after the Cowboys game. I said, Daddy's a little sad right now. And she said, well, why? I said, because the Cowboys lost, baby. The Cowboys lost last night. And you know what my 5-year-old daughter looked at me and said? Who dat? Ooh. Go Saints. I said, ain't this about
She get it from her mama. And
when I tell you, my daughter looked at me and had a hearty laughed in my face because she knew She was trolling the hell out of her daddy in that moment. I said, in my own household, Chris.
Listen,
in my own household.
While you were watching the game, your wife was practicing your daughter up for this moment.
In my own household, Chris. See, this is why you got to be careful when you're having kids. Okay?
I love kids.
Because you just never know which of the two parents they're going to pick up the stuff from. And she clearly got it from my wife.
And she said, Daddy, I know the number to CPS too, so don't mess with me.
That's right, 325.
Yeah, tell her that.
The Saints ain't helping pay those bills.
Tell that to your daughter next time. And your wife.
They just like nice stuff. They don't care where it comes from, man. Legally, that is.
Allegedly.
Respectfully. But yeah, that's how my household has looked over the last 24 hours. I got my wife trolling me, my 5-year-old daughter trolling the hell out of me after the Cowboys lost.
This reminds me of a little Bernie Mac. Not his TV show, but he was doing a stand-up.
I need a whole confessional. I need an America moment.
Let me give you. I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit. Bernie Mac said, he's talking to the audience. Somebody got to run the relationship in the house. You get married, somebody got to run the relationship. I told my wife, I'm going out. She said, where you going? I said, out. She said, when you come back? I said, I'll be back when I'm back. So I was playing cards with my friends, my boys. Phone rang. I picked it up. I said, I told you I was out. What do you mean when I'm coming? I'll be back. And when I get back, there better be some food on the table. Then he said, now you tell your mama I love her. You get ready for bed because you got to go to school in the morning. He may be crazy, but he ain't no fool.
Oh, rest in peace, Bernie Mac.
Rest in peace, Bernie Mac.
But I should have had that moment last time myself. I should have set me up a little camera and just talked to America. It's like, in America, it's hard being a Cowboys fan.
Hard.
Them Twitter spaces.
Bruh.
That would have been great.
Here's the thing. I'm a third-generation Cowboys fan. So it's funny because last night, while we're just emoting here, the third-generation Cowboys fan in me was just salty as hell last night.
I bet.
But the reporter, the journalist, the media member, radio personality in me was like, when is this going to change around here? What changes can be made around here? I got Jerry out here crying, after the game's over, talking about how sick he is. J-Ron Curse out here playing with a busted knee.
Broken everything.
Apparently a torn labrum that he's been playing with for several weeks.
Shoulder,
By the way, that's a headline. Not only did Tony Pollard break his fibula and had a high ankle sprain, apparently your man J-Ron Curse for the last several weeks, according to the Dallas Morning News, has been playing with a torn labrum that's going to have surgery on it.
Now, I had to do this again. I did at the start of the season. And I asked the question again on Twitter. I'm going to give you some of these answers. I asked the question. I said, all right, again, how many of y'all are willing to admit you have a toxic relationship with the Dallas Cowboys? Here are some of the tweets I got. I do. I'm not diehard, but I watch every game and wear the merch. That can't be right. Got another one said, hey, every dadgum year, then the emotional abuse by my coworkers is so hard to deal with. I got another one said, yep, over and over and over, and nothing ever changes. And another one says, oh, 100% it's toxic. When I go to see my psychiatrist, he said, what them Cowboys do to you now? Everybody's saying wait a minute, they all saying over and over, yep, I'll admit it. What I'm saying, you know what? I do, but it's from a distance now. From a distance. Let's see another one here. Oh, it sent me a coffee mug. It says on the coffee mug, you can't hurt me more than the Cowboys already have. And then there's another one. I definitely do. I'm 66 years old. Don't have 30 more years to invest with no more wedding ring in sight, but I probably will stay involved with them Cowboys. That's from Martha. And Nia says, I do, and it's never ending. I mean, I got all these pictures of hands held up. And Gregory said, every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
From the 571 KG, you should have reminded them the Saints didn't even make the playoffs this year. Well, guess what? I can't remind them of that because the only thing my wife does remember is the fact that the Saints won a Super Bowl in this century. So she'll just hit me with that every time. Well, at least my Saints won a Super Bowl. You don't even care. You don't even care. You just know that they won a Super Bowl just to troll me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I hate Saints fans.
Got one from Brandon.
They're a unique group.
Got one from Brandon.
Very.
My name is Brandon, and I too am a Cowboys fan. It's like they're in therapy session.
Oh, this is a whole therapy session. I don't know if you've been invited in. TruckRadio.com, text line 877-881-1053 as I emote on this particular subject. For the 571, I'm a fourth generation Cowboys fan. And here's the thing. As I put my hat back on for a second, I'm tired. I know the Jets, they've been through it. I know the Vikings, they've been through it. People's jumping in my mentions. Well, at least you're not a Vikings fan. At least you're not a Jets fan.
They've never won. They've been to the Super Bowl 4 times.
At least you're not a Bills fan. You know what my response is to that? Again, this is my fan hat on. I don't give a damn.
I knew it.
Like, I don't root for the Vikings or the Lions or the Bears or the Jets. Like, I don't give a damn. That's not my team. My team is the one that hasn't been anywhere close to the Lombardi Trophy
in 30
years. At least the Jets could say they were within a game of getting there.
Twice.
The Vikings can even say they at least were a game of getting there. You know, back in 98.
Randy Moss.
Yeah. You know, the Bears, the Bears went to a Super Bowl.
Yes, they did.
Back in 2006. So don't come at me talking about, you know, at least you're not this fan, at least you're not that fan. At least some of y'all have been close to a Super Bowl. This doggone franchise ain't nowhere near it for nearly 30 years. I said ain't.
This morning, RJ Choppy was talking about how, you know, 12-5 back-to-back seasons. And he said, you know what? I would take that over one Super Bowl and then all this, you know, one and done, and you're not even qualifying, you know, just to say you got the Super Bowl. He said, no, I'd rather be in the hunt with an opportunity than to say I got one.
What?
I said to myself as I was listening to RJ.
I love Chop.
I said, Chop, that's the deal Jerry made back in 1996. Just please give me one ring with Jimmy not being the coach, and I'll never ask again. And that's why you haven't seen a Super Bowl since. That's what the rumor is. I say this tongue in cheek, but that's what they say.
For the 972, it's not just the losing, it's the drama with the losing. It's the broken thumb. It's the Cooper Rush to start. Let's put a pause.
It's the interceptions.
Let's put a pause on that. All y'all who was out here during that, what was that, 4-1 stretch that Rush was in there, talking about Rush is better than Dak.
Y'all better get a grip.
Rush can be the quarterback that leads his team. What? That must have been a real special pack that y'all was smoking. Like, Dez must have got y'all and broke y'all off
Don't call them out on their...
A real nice pack.
Don't call them out on their self-medication.
I see 682. If I don't give two craps about 12-win seasons. If you aren't getting championships, you are no better than a losing record team. If you ain't first, you're last. Thank you,
Ricky. Is that from Ricky Bobby?
Thank you, Ricky Bobby. Appreciate that.
Talladega Nights.
For the 469. Okay, so let's put the journalist hat back on here. The media member journalist hat back on. Now, in normal context, yes, 469, this was a successful season. 12-5, back-to-back 12-win seasons. You won a playoff game. You made it to the divisional round. And for a lot of teams, yes, this is a very successful season. But if you are going to evaluate this team based on what they said their standard is, and the head coach that they hired who said his resume says that this can happen for this team beyond the divisional round, beyond the conference title game and winning a Super Bowl, then for them, this was a failure. You saw how Jerry was looking after the game. Yeah. In fact, do we have that cut? Do we have Jerry out here, you know, sniveling as the word he likes to use?
While he finds that, I got to read the 682. He says, when I die, I want the Dallas Cowboys to be my pallbearers so they can let me down one more time.
Wow. Wow. What's this? Is this cut 20? Let's just go with cut 20 from Jerry.
See what it is.
Do you think this team was better built to break through, Jerry?
Well, I thought this team with Dak at quarterback, I thought we had a chance to get to and compete at the top level in this tournament. I really did, and that was our edge here tonight. I thought the quarterback and the experience of the quarterbacks, they might have had a little edge and an area there, but still, I thought our quarterbacks were the edge, and we got after that and tried to expose that. To their credit, they made some plays, but I thought we were good suited to come in here and win this thing, and frankly, I wouldn't say surprised. I'd say just real disappointed that we maybe couldn't make something happen, even right down to the last real solid series where we had about 4 minutes left.
He's right. That's why I made that loss so painful, because literally they were in the game. It wasn't San Francisco wasn't playing that much better than the Cowboys. They just made more plays. The Cowboys weren't supposed to beat the 49ers, but they had the chance to do it. It's just a damn shame. It's a wasted opportunity.
My man RJ Ochoa of SB Nation's Blogging the Boys crystallized this loss, I thought, in the most wild of ways. Did you know, ESPN, the last three quarterbacks that the Cowboys have lost to, in order, from most recent to the last, the last one I'm about to name?
Brock Purdy,
Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jared Goff.
It's me throwing up.
Those are the last three quarterbacks to end the Dallas Cowboys season. What? What?
And here's what's so sad. None of them went to the Super Bowl. Oh, excuse me, won the Super Bowl. Jared Goff went, but he didn't win it. Garoppolo went, he didn't win it.
Like, is that not wild? Like, the last three quarterbacks to sit in the Cowboys' home, a rookie who literally was Mr. Irrelevant. Jimmy Garoppolo,
who was having a bad game at AT&T Stadium. And Jared Goff, who it wasn't even Jared Goff, it was their running game that kept the Cowboys off the field. Remember? They just ran that big overweight running back, ran it down the
bowling
throat.
Ball, C.J. Anderson running up and down.
That's right.
That defensive line of the Cowboys. I've never been so angry in a game in my life.
Me either.
C.J. Anderson was like you and I sitting on the couch. And Sean McVay and that Rams team called him and said, "Hey, what you doing? Hey, big head, what you doing?"
Just like the Cowboys called up T.Y. Hilton. The same length of time. That's all he was there.
CJ was like, "Nothing. Hey, you want to come out here and beat the Dallas Cowboys?"
Okay.
Yeah, why not? Ran for over 100 yards that day.
He put the hamburger down and ran.
Man, a biscuit and a half short of 200 pounds.
It was a damn shame. And what was so crazy is the Cowboys did not know that they would try that. They thought they were going to try to throw the ball. And here comes CJ. Every play, 10 yards, 12 yards, 8 yards.
I know 3-2-1 that Jared Goff was balling this year. What that got to do with 2018?
And like I was saying, he wasn't even the one that was doing the damage. It was C.J. Anderson. He just happened to be the quarterback handing it off to C.J. Anderson. Yep, Gallup had 0 catches yesterday. Damn shame.
I hadn't even mentioned his name. Now, here's the thing. I'm not too charged up at Gallup either. As we go to break, I'm not too charged up at Gallup because I tried to tell y'all at the beginning of the season, I don't expect much from him this year.
I don't know why.
I don't know why people thought that he was going to get out here and be the number 2 like he was, prior to him tearing his ACL. Like, come on, man.
He was never number 2. He was a third receiver behind.
Look, man.
And they gave him that contract in his hospital bed. Now, I like him as a person.
I like Michael Gallup. I really do.
And I like them plays. But I'm like, he ain't going.
He's not your number 2,
He ain't
man.
Amari Cooper. He ain't going to all of a sudden be CeeDee Lamb to Amari Cooper.
I always felt that he was best slotted as a 3.
As a 3. Always.
Thank y'all for letting me emote.
And woosah.
I needed to get that out. I appreciate that.
You couldn't have this session with your daughter. You had to save it on there.
Right. That's a great point, Chris. Thank you so much. I couldn't clearly have this conversation in my own damn home.
Clearly.
So I had to come on the station and had to emote with the TruckRadio.com text line and you, the Tolo, and Cowboys Nation. Thank you so much for that. This is a safe space. So
What
thank
is
you.
the first 3 digits of your wife's phone?
318.
It says, "Who dat?"
She just texted in.
Medford, take us to break, please.
All right, coming up next on the Get Right with Reg and KG, it's AM on the FM. I got the question of the day, and what happens when Odell Beckham Jr., Aaron Judge, Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, and Drake go to a theater?
Uh-oh.
You'll find out next right here on The Fan.
Blasting out 100,000 watts of FM sports talk power and streaming 24. 105.3 The Fan.
This segment of the Get Right is brought to you by the personal injury lawyers Frankel and Frankel. There's a reason you need a special license to drive a big truck, so companies that hire drivers and put them in a big truck should be held accountable for what happens when one hurts you. Frankly, you need Frankel and Frankel. The consultation is always free. Visit truckwreck.com.
Well, I've needed some good laughs tonight after what happened yesterday between the Cowboys and the 49ers. Kevin Gray, three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold.
Got you down.
My man Alec Medford holding it down for you, and you turn it on and leave it on stations. To Get Right, we're Reggie KG. I was going across on social media on my phone a little bit during the break, and I came across one of my favorite movies and a scene, particularly from that movie. You've seen the movie Hitch.
Oh, yeah, Will Smith and Kevin James.
Medford, you've seen the movie Hitch.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite scenes is when Albert Brenneman is his character, Kevin James' character, is trying to,
dance.
And Will Smith is like, what are you doing?
And then they play, yeah.
What? I'm making a pizza. I'm making a pizza. I'm rolling the fire.
I'm watering the lawn.
And Smith's character just looks at him and says, you live right here, 10 and 2. You just do this. That's all you do. That's where you live. That's where home is. It's a great movie. This is also great, though.
What does this button do? Please, please, do not push the button. You have no idea what it...
Reality can be whatever I want. Don't you dare touch that dial.
Listen to Jim Carrey and don't you dare touch that dial. Truckwreck.com text line 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053, and the Twitch, my Twolo fam, twitch.tv/Dallas Fancam. I always need your input on this segment. It's AM on the FM right here on the Fan. I had a lot of ideas for this. I thought about kind of just going KG mode and making this just a safe space to preach. I kind of thought about taking it another direction in terms of just sports sadness. I think that's where we're going to go here. I got some weird stories involving a Drake concert and the New York Giants.
Oh.
How those are related. I'll get to that here in a second. But question of the day. I want to see if we're in a similar light here, see if we're all more alike than we think. How did you deal with your sports sadness last night, and how do you deal with it in general? You know, it could have been back with the Rangers World Series fiasco. It could have been any of the Dallas Mavericks' recent shortcomings. It could have been the Stars in the Stanley Cup final. How do you just deal with your sports sadness in general? Because I want to know, because I know I've talked to Will Chambers. He has a very specific routine.
Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Chicago.
Yeah, bourbon.
Yeah, bourbon.
Right.
And that's kind of where mine has turned. But
no.
Yeah, so I just want to know how everybody dealt with theirs. What was the immediate reaction? What did you do right after that post-game show ended last night? And you just had to figure out how you're going to go to sleep. What did you do?
Well, my wife reminded me that there's a life after the game. And she said, your daughter needs a bath.
That's a good point.
There's a vacuum that needs to be put together and installed so you can go get to doing that. And I was like, well, I guess reality just smacked me back in the face. So that's how I spent the first couple hours after the game was over with. And as I said earlier, I laid in bed until probably about 11:30, 11:45, just not watching TV, but having HDTV watch me as I just sat there in the bed and, was like, what the hell just happened 3 hours ago?
I'm going to tell you what I used to do. I don't do this anymore. I hurt my back a few years ago. I used to go running. I would just run and get tired and then fall out. That's what I used to do if I was upset about a sports loss. Last night in particular, I just turned the damn TV off. And then I put the dishes in the dishwasher and I went to bed at 9:30.
He said, look here, I got these kids that got to go to school tomorrow. I got this stuff I got to do. I'm taking myself to bed.
Okay, so let me tell you why it was easy for me to fall asleep, though. Because I got up early in the morning because Alec and I did the Sunday morning show.
Yeah.
And then I went straight and emceed the Maverick game at the American Airlines Center,
that's right.
where the Mavericks lost. So I was like, okay, woosah. I get home so I can watch the Cowboys game, forget about the Maverick game. So I had double dose of loss. And I was just tired. I was just whooped by then. I was like, okay, I got. And by the way, the night before, Saturday night, I had drove all the way from Lubbock.
Oh yeah, so you was working on like little sleep.
Meet.
Yeah,
so yeah. I went to bed by midnight Saturday night, but then I got up, like I said, at 6:30 to get ready for the Sunday morning show here. So I was tired. No, I'm just gonna go.
Chris, I don't know how you do it. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't even know how you do it.
Beast.
I just do it. Shake it off.
Ain't nothing to it but to do it, I guess.
Got a wife and 3 kids to feed.
I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, some of these reactions we're getting are great. There's one that is really in line with mine, and I know what you're laughing at, CA. We're
571.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that and the 972 here in just a second.
That's the one I'm looking at, the 972. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, the 972 is great.
Yeah.
Another 972 is kind of where I was. Said I binge ate 2 boxes of Swedish fish out of depression. So
wow,
I'm not making this up. So I get home. I watched the game with our own Ruben Portillo. Rizzy Ruben went over to his place, and we sat there just talking about what's next for the offseason and everything for like 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
And then I get in the car. I play Post Malone's cover of "Only Want to Be with You" because
Wanna be with you.
Yeah, because he drops he did a little ad lib in there that sounds like this.
Did.
I'm such a baby 'cause the Cowboys make me cry.
So I played that on a loop. Yeah, just had to feel that. And I walk in the door, right? I go upstairs to my room, just taking the hoodie off, taking all the Cowboys gear off, in sadness. And I have a glass of bourbon in my hand, just like Will Chambers style, and a bag of Doritos. And then I get a phone call from the lady as she's deployed out in Louisiana, just doesn't even understand, not a sports fan, doesn't understand the whole, like 2 hours after a bad loss, probably not a good time to FaceTime someone. I answer the phone with a glass of bourbon and a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos in my hands. I'm like, what's up?
So you said it again. I'm going to let you finish. Never mind. I'm going to let you finish.
Where was this going? But yeah, and I just kind of ate my sorrows away with a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos and some Post Malone.
So I got questions.
I got answers, maybe. I don't know.
Cool Ranch Doritos and bourbon?
Yes.
Like that was available to you
That's
at that
what
moment?
was available.
Okay,
Kevin
okay. I was like, was that a choice, a purposeful choice?
Yeah,
Friendly reminder: I am a senior in college that has thousands of dollars in debt. So,
but you could afford the bourbon though.
It could have been.
I didn't
worse,
pay for
it, Kevin.
That was a birthday gift.
Oh, okay,
Kevin,
cool, got you.
Kevin,
Okay,
it could have been worse. You said the Doritos. It could have been bourbon and ramen noodles, like most college guys.
That's true.
See, it could have been a lot worse.
Good call.
The Doritos are respectable, I think.
Yes, they are.
Especially with the Cool Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
They're the best. Well, yeah.
You see this one? Says 817 says I manage a local sporting goods store. Now I have to stare at racks and racks of Cowboys gear because we overbought, thinking they might do something. Now that's
depressing.
depression.
Oh yeah,
that's what he said.
That sucks in more ways than one.
Now I teased the 571. He said I turned to drugs last night and not the legal kind. He's on that psilocybin and everything else.
From the 817, I ordered $25 worth of food at Sonic, listened to Circles by Post Malone on repeat, and drank half a bottle of Jack Daniels. Damn. Damn.
That is extreme, but you're my kind of person. I like that. Did you get the pretzel sticks? Those are really good at Sonic. 817, after the loss, I looked at the Ranger schedule. that is great.
And went to work depressed.
Hell, they might do something more than the Cowboys did this year with all that money. Spend that money, Ray.
Spend that money. Open up that checkbook. And you know who's got an expensive credit card bill right now?
Oh.
I teased this earlier going into this segment. So I don't know if y'all saw, but there was a lot of coverage of this on social media because it was really well promoted. Drake did a show at the Apollo.
Ooh.
And
oh yeah, I did hear about this.
It was his first live concert, like full concert in 5 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Something like that. And so this was a big deal. And such a big deal that Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants were there. But not only them, Aaron Judge was with them. Oh, and guess what? Odell Beckham Jr. was with them too.
Of course he was.
And I say that something, weird happens here, right? Well, there's a video. Just look up Drake Apollo concert on Twitter.
Okay.
In the middle of one of his songs, there's a balcony, right? It's one of those old school theaters, so there's a balcony, a second level.
Right.
Sandman was up there.
In the middle of a song, a dude just comes flying off the balcony into the pit.
It was Sandman. I was just throwing that out there.
Yeah, seriously. And guess who he landed right next to?
Who?
Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Judge, and Odell Beckham Jr. feet away from them, right next to them. And a fan in attendance said, luckily, they didn't get hit. And the Apollo Theater released a statement saying that there was no serious injuries, but
wild.
They stopped the concert and everything. There's a video of Drake, saying cut the music.
Yeah.
And 21 Savage even comes walking out of the set like, what's going on back there?
Wow.
It's like, yeah. So
I heard it was a hell of a show.
Oh yeah, it was a great show.
I bet, man.
And if you're a fan, there was a leak for their rumored double headliner tour.
Oh, was 21 Savage?
Yeah, with 21 Savage.
That last album they dropped, both of them together, nothing but their hits together, both of them doing duets. I mean, that was strong.
And the unconfirmed, it's just a leak, so take it with a grain of salt. We don't know if it's true, but the leak says that they will be ending their show at AT&T Stadium in July, on July 16th.
I might have to be there.
I will be there, one way or another.
I might have to be there.
That will be legendary. I gotta
say, I don't wanna play those games.
It's wild because he had a couple like random concerts this weekend. It was that one. Did y'all hear about Beyonce this weekend?
I saw that in Dubai.
So apparently Beyonce put on a 1-hour show at Atlantis, the Royal in Dubai.
Whoa.
And she was paid $35 million.
I believe that.
For the 1-hour show she did.
I believe that there's a lot of big money over there in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm. Vince McMahon knows a lot about that.
Yeah. Did he get, what, $3.4 billion or something like that?
He never sold it, but.
He's getting paid for them Saudi shows, though.
That's another conversation. For
Crown Jewel!
Oh, boy.
A lot of Saudi money.
But yeah, that's how we do AM on the FM. Just
chaos.
Let you roll around in your depression for a little bit with me. We're all the same.
Six God.
So upset last night, bro.
Six God.
It was great just staring at the wall for a little bit, like, damn. just that's it. Only thought in my head. Damn.
It's the final call next on the Get Right.
Jinx thrown in. Our coverage is also brought to you by Window Nation and A Number One Air. Turn it on, leave it on. One of the craziest weeks all year. Radio Row Week, beginning February 6th, right here on The Fan.
Back here on the Get Right with Reggie KG. One final time here. Kevin Gray with the three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold.
Got you down.
My man Alec Medford hold it down. And that, my friends, is undisputed. Appreciate all those who joined us here on the truckred.com text line 877-881-1053. Also want to thank John Machota of The Athletic for joining us earlier on in the show via the Diamond Factory hotline. If you missed anything during our show, make sure you hit the rewind button on the Odyssey app, and you can catch anything you may have missed during our show. Also, don't forget programming notes for the Get Right for 105.3 The Fan on Thursday. Right here, you can come out and hang out with us this Thursday here at The Fan as we are hosting the Rangers Hot Stove Show from 7 to 8 p.m. in our performance showroom with my guy, your guy, our favorite guy, Texas Rangers insider Jared Sandler, also myself and Reginald Atatula. Completely free, and you get to hang out with Rangers pitcher Brock Burke. No sign up needed. Just come out and make plans to head to the station and come watch The Fan live with us and get your picture taken and meet Brock Burke right here on 105.3 The Fan. So again, that's this coming Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m. in our performance showroom, 4131 North Central Expressway. Come hang out with myself, Reginald Atatula, and Jared Sanders. It's going to be good to see Jared. I haven't seen Jared in quite some time. He's been out there gallivanting in the world on vacation.
Catching planes all over the world.
Living his best life as he gets ready for yet another Rangers campaign coming up here in just a few
Thursday night,
weeks.
this will be the place to be. Come on down.
It's the final call here on the Get Right. Speaking of local, Stars unfortunately go down tonight at the American Airlines Center. They lose 3-2 in overtime.
Oh, man.
Owen Power with the goal in overtime to help the Sabres get the win over the Dallas Stars. So the Stars lose 3-2 at home to the Buffalo Sabres. Mavericks will be back in action tomorrow.
Kristaps Porzingis is back.
Except he won't be.
Oh, not again.
He's going to be out.
What's wrong?
Ankle injury.
He didn't play against the Mavericks earlier this year.
That's
when they
right.
came to Washington.
That's right.
What in the world?
He's got a sprained left ankle, so he'll be week to week, the Washington Wizards announced earlier today.
And that's why he's not a Maverick anymore.
He originally hurt the ankle on the 21st, a couple days ago.
These
against
random injuries, man.
Orlando Magic.
He's a great guy, but I hate these random injuries.
So that makes 2 for 2 in terms of the returns not happening because Jalen Brunson, when he was
he didn't
play in his return against the Mavericks as he's a member of the Knicks now.
That was that night Lucas scored 60 points, 21 rebounds, 13 assists, I believe. One of the greatest triple doubles of all time.
From the 972, I'll bite. Did y'all talk about the Dallas Cowboys thing on Twitter calling out Dak? First of all, no lie was told.
No lie was told.
And if you
Dak even knows that.
If you have any kind of working knowledge of how the Dallas Cowboys media team works,
they keep it real.
Jerry encourages this.
Yes, he does.
This is one of the rare sports teams that it's media that works for the team or whatever.
Yes.
They encourage.
Yeah, they keep it real.
Honest criticism of its team. So I didn't understand why everybody got so charged up about all that. Did you see the uproar about that on social media today?
Oh yeah, I thought it was like,
you saw that too, Medford? People were real upset. I can't believe this headline is on the Dallas Cowboys Twitter account.
Well, Dak knows.
Well, first of all, my man Patrick No-C Walker, no lie told.
Exactly.
If you read the piece, what lie was told, honest observations of what was seen.
Unacceptable.
And the headline was on Twitter as it needed to be. So I didn't understand why people were so shocked over the idea that that tweet would be up there.
He's a grown-ass man. Oldest quarterback in the playoffs right now. Well, was last weekend.
You know. Well, here at 972, I'll help you out here. So this comes from our good buddy Tim Cato of The Athletic. As the Mavericks, as I mentioned, will be back in action tomorrow against Washington. In a piece that he wrote for The Athletic today, quote, there's a growing sense around the league that the Mavericks will make a move, and the internal signs of restlessness from key figures of the organization have become more visible in recent days. Now, of course, we are 17 days away from the NBA's trade deadline on February the 9th. There was a trade today in the NBA. I don't know if you gentlemen saw that.
Washington Wizards did it.
Speaking of the Wizards, they made a trade with the Los Angeles Lakers as they sent, the Lakers did, Kendrick Nunn and 3 second-round picks to Washington for Rui Hachimura from the Washington Wizards. So that deal became official today. Already some movement happening in the NBA's trade deadline, or before the trade deadline, I should say. There, it'll be interesting to see what the Mavericks do.
And they will do something. Watch.
We will.
But I'm going to tell you this. It would be shocking if there's a first-round draft pick attached to anything that they do, because they're not trying to win the trade and win a championship this year. They think that the big depth of free agency and trade movement is going to happen this summer. What they're hoping to do is get better, and not just, if it creates more cap space, fine. But they're actually going to try to fortify what they do this season. But they're not saying, okay, bam, here's Bradley Beal. That ain't going to happen. I threw out his name because he ain't coming here. I'm just saying. They're going to try to make a move, but they're not going. And remember this, if you're going to try to figure out what they do, remember this is a defensive-minded coaching staff, and that's the way they want to win in the playoffs, because they know defense is something that you have to commit to. And that's what got them into the Western Conference Finals last year. It was their commitment to defense. Rick Carlisle had the most efficient offense of all time, got them knocked out in the first round, because all teams adjust over a 7-game period. And what they do, they take away stuff from your offense. And the Lakers, when they won that championship with LeBron, Jason Kidd was the defensive coordinator. He leads with defense. When he played for the Mavericks, 9-time first team all defense. So just keep in mind, they're not going to give up a defensive guy, but they're going to try to get somebody that got some defense.
USC, the University of Southern California, has officially named its track after the most decorated track and field athlete in U.S. history. The field will now be known as Allison Felix Field.
Nice. She's awesome. Had that baby and came back out there, and Nike knows they should have never messed with her. Tried to cut down her shoe contract because she had a baby.
Yeah, Allison Felix is one of the greatest.
She's amazing.
U.S. track and field athletes.
She started her own shoes now. You know that?
She's got her own company.
Yeah. As it should be.
So congratulations to her. But you just love to see stuff like that, obviously, with the career that she had and what she was able to do throughout the course of her career. So there you go.
What?
Apparently Michael Irvin was on 95.7 The Game today.
Oh, yeah?
With Damon and Ratto.
The ones that were on with Sean and RJ on Friday?
He said about the final play yesterday, quote, I can't even talk about that. I was so pissed. Just take a knee and concede.
Facts.
What are you doing?
Facts.
Just take a damn knee.
Got Zeke trucked for nothing. Zeke, you snapped the ball. Like I said, Dak didn't come up with that play. That was a Kellen Moore original.
Oh, shout out to Michael Irvin. I know he had to be
he had
so
to
upset.
deal with the pinky. You know, Stephen A. Smith was acting like Pinky.
Oh man, I didn't even watch that today. I couldn't even bring myself to do it today. I couldn't even do it, man.
I just saw highlights.
Watching Jerry Rice and Eric Davis and all them boys celebrate yesterday, just sickening. But it is what it is. On to the draft. On to the draft.
It's draft season.
Wasn't ready. That's the other part. I'm not ready for draft season.
No.
I'm not ready for that. But oh well. Appreciate the hard work of my man Alec Medford on this Monday night. Thank you, sir, for the 3-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold.
Always pleasure.
My name is Kevin Gray. This has been the Get Right for Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Y'all be good, and we'll talk to you tomorrow at 7 o'clock on 105.3 The Fan. Peace.
Remember the day that Zeke Elliott was the center?
35 minutes of commercial-free Fan. Holy mackerel. It's the Expressway with Sean.